What's going on, everybody? This is another episode of LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. Welcome to the program. I'm Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
We hope everybody's having a magnificent Thursday evening. Trying to get Facebook going here. All right, we got the Facebook stream going. What's going on, Facebook?
We're gonna I guess coin this as Giuliani Thursday.
Giuliani Thursday.
Giuliani Thursday.
For the win. For the win.
You know, like I'm picturing like Giuliani like in his head. You know how back in the day, like when you was like shooting in the driveway by yourself, and you would do like and you would do the countdown, 5, 4, 3, crossover. He gets him step back, 1 in Swiss. Right, that's what you used to do. Yo. That's what I feel Giuliani's doing, but he misses every time. And he's like, "Oh, he got fouled. He got do over.
Well, one of our good friends, Neely, he sent some image or some video about the last second shot like that.
Yeah.
It was just like a rather chunky guy.
Spice Adams.
Is it?
It's Spice Adams.
It might be.
He actually does work for. I think he's. Like,
because I've seen more videos than that.
Yeah. I think he does like some. Like he's a videographer. Or something.
And he was in the gym by himself. Looked the part with the gear. But then he made some horrible behind. Like he went behind his back, shot and completely missed everything.
Yes, that's what Giuliani looked like. He looked like he just kind of like shadow playing somebody.
Giuliani,
and straight missing.
If he intended that.
But then. Acts like nobody's watching them.
Yeah. It's kind of like that studio was empty.
He misses the shot and then claim he won the game.
I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know what the goal was last night and today for Rudy Giuliani, but I think he failed. I don't think you could categorize that as a win. But anyway, thank you everybody for being here with us. Thank you Facebook for being in here with us. We have a few things to talk about. First, we're gonna talk about North Korea. We've talked about this a few times, just about the upcoming summit that is supposed to be taking place, including South Korea, North Korea, and the United States of America. Peace talks, denuclearization, all that good stuff. Ahead of these talks, there has been some speculation that the 3 Americans that are being held prisoner, they're being held prisoner in North Korea. There's been some speculation that they will be released beforehand, and I believe there have been reports that the 3 have been removed from their detention facility and have been placed in a hotel. I don't know if that's confirmed or anything, but it's also not confirmed that they will be released before the summit does take place.
I think that's just him saying, look, this is what we have, and we've taken it this far. Now, what are you guys going to give us? I think as far as the United States goes, like, I haven't heard any official Trump or anybody in the administration, like, I guess, make any comments about what we're going to give up or what we're going to do. And I don't think that's what North Korea is in this for. They're going to want something in return. You know what I'm saying? So he already has, North Korea already has their preconditions. I don't think the United States is going to be willing to give up anything, because what Kim's kind of ultimate goal is for the United States to remove its military presence from the Korean Peninsula, from articles I've read over the past couple of years.
But that won't be a precondition to them talking. At this point, that won't be a precondition.
At this point, I think that it's
something that they want done.
And honestly, I think that's the main thing. Because why do I keep saying North Carolina?
It's just easier to say, I guess.
North Korea wants some guarantees that they won't be invaded. And what's the only guarantee, or the only way you can kind of like, I guess, I don't know, I don't want to say validate that guarantee, But the only way you can make sure that guarantee has some meat to it is for us to, let's say, get rid of our base. But I don't think that's going to happen because we just built that base. Because the old base in South Korea was like in the middle of the damn city, and so they kind of had to build a new one. I don't think the United States is going to do that. I think that's something that Kim Jong-un wants. He wants to have a guarantee, and to me that's the only way he can somewhat guarantee that the United States will not invade North Korea is to get rid of that base. So I don't think that's happening.
He wants security, like he wants an assurance that the United States won't attack, or maybe any other ally will attack as well.
Correct.
The only way that we have seen that the United States won't do some, like I said, we're not going to call it a preemptive attack because that suggests that, North Korea is planning on attacking the United States or South Korea.
Yeah, when you say preemptive, it means that there's like an actual threat of, a country attacking.
So the only way I believe that North Korea would feel like they are safe is with their nuclear technology. So it just doesn't make sense that they would just go ahead and strip themselves of what is keeping the rest of the world from attacking them. But I believe also it was I believe on Thursday, I think it was today, a Chinese official said that Kim Jong-un said achieving the denuclearization of the peninsula is the firm position of the North Korean side. So,
wait a second. Say, read that last part again. Of the what?
Of the North Korean side.
So the peninsula.
Of the peninsula, yeah. Denuclearization of the peninsula.
Of the peninsula. He didn't say like denuclearization of
North Korea.
Or North Korea.
No. So it's got to be bigger than that.
It's got to be bigger than just, hey, we're giving up our weapons. We're going to give you some American prisoners or Americans that were being held as prisoners that we're going to denuclearize.
That doesn't.
We're going to
drop.
We're going to drop the sanctions, and then y'all going to denuclearize. That just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't. North Korea has in the past have offered more. I guess as far as like resolutions and I guess being conciliatory.
But they're not
in the past. But
never
in the
offered
past,
up the nuclear weapons.
They never offered up, but they've always offered up something. The past 50 years, they've always offered something. Take one step forward, two steps back. Agree to not necessarily denuclearization, but to have some sort of oversight. But they don't allow anybody in.
Right.
So they kept kind of like, I guess, going back on their promises. So I don't know why this time, like, it's given much value. But maybe it's given value because China and South Korea are involved more. But
it's possible.
I think in one of the live shows, I think it was either 2 weeks ago, we talked about one of North Korea's nuclear test sites imploding, and it being kind of having the potential to cause not just damage in North Korea but in the surrounding countries. And I think China stepped in and was like, look, yo, you got to get your stuff together. This nuclear site imploded, and it might cause harm in our country or South Korea or Japan or any other surrounding country. So yeah, y'all need to get y'all shit together. So, and I think Kim Jong-un, in a way to kind of appease his own ego, or I guess not necessarily appease his ego, but to make it look like he is kind of stepping forward and being diplomatic, he's just going to be like, I'm not going to say we failed. I'm not going to say that nuclear site failed. I'm going to say, hey, we're willing to deal now. You know what I'm saying? He's going to flip it around. So again, there's just so much going on with this. I don't know what.
You don't know what to expect.
I don't know what to expect.
I don't know what to expect either. Jean in the chat too, she said the same thing. She's just gonna have to wait and see what happens. It just logic doesn't tell me that Kim Jong-un is just gonna denuclearize and and that's gonna be the end of the story. South Korea, as far as I know, they don't have nuclear weapons, as far as I know. So to say that that Kim is interested in the denuclearization of the peninsula, it suggests something more than just the North Korean side. So we'll see what that means. Like I said, that summit is expected to take place possibly at the end of this month, possibly in June. So it's coming. It's on the forefront. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's get to the news of the day.
The news of the day.
All right. So, former Republican mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, the Republican, like I said, he's recently joined President Trump's legal team. And he appeared on the Fox News channel with Sean Hannity last night, Wednesday night. He made a startling revelation. He said that President Trump reimbursed his personal attorney, Michael Cohen, the $130,000 that was paid to Stormy Daniels because of an affair. Now, President Trump has denied that the affair happened.
Not only did he deny that the affair happened, he denied that he knew anything about the $130,000.
Right. So, but just on the merits of the case, he denied that the affair happened. Stormy Daniels has said that they did have an affair. They had some tryst that, it was a one-time event. But to keep her quiet, she was paid $130,000 before the presidential election. So now, again, this is the revelation that was being made, that Donald Trump, in fact, did reimburse Michael Cohen for that effort, for fixing the situation for him, for having his back. Now, like you were saying, Donald Trump has said that he didn't know anything about this payment being advanced to Stormy Daniels. And he said this on Air Force One. It was just last month, the beginning of April. He was asked by a reporter, does he know anything about the payment? He clearly said, no, you need to direct this line of questioning to my personal attorney, Michael Cohen.
You know what, just to play devil's advocate, I don't think it's out of the question that someone's lawyer, who is supposed to, have their back and protect them and to kind of shield them from, scandals and controversy. I don't think it's out of the question that, he would, pay off somebody $130,000, because he's probably used to doing that. He knows what his job is. He is a fix-it lawyer.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't think that's out of the question, because when, a lot of these people get in powerful positions, they're expecting people to do for them, even without them being asked. So I don't think it's out of the question.
Right.
But there's been so many contradictions surrounding this. I don't see that being the case, because there's been so many different stories and they have all contradicted each other. So when I found out that Giuliani was going to join Trump's legal team, man, I was on the edge of my seat and rubbing my hands together, because I was just waiting on him and to see what kind of contribution he was going to make to this shit show. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew it was going to be good.
He came out early, swinging.
Because and that's the thing. The thing about a lie is, in order to justify it, you have to tell the worst lie or deflect it. And it looked like Giuliani, like you said, came out swinging, doing just that. But the funny thing about Giuliani and trying to do that, he's acting like there wasn't an initial lie already. You see what I'm saying? Concerning this $130,000 payoff, he's acting as if there wasn't another narrative that was created already. So it's whoa, that lie didn't work. So let's move on to the next lie. But I'm like, wait a second. It's not like you start from a clean slate. There's already been a narrative that has been established. So you kind of have to not go to the next lie. You have to explain, okay, why'd you lie the first time? You can't just move on to the next lie without explaining why the first narrative was a lie and was figured out to be a lie.
So let's get to a few quotes that he said on last night's program with Sean Hannity. He said, quote, "It's not campaign money, no campaign finance violation. They funneled through a law firm and the president repaid it." So to that, Sean Hannity said, I didn't know that. And that was the revelation, because again, we knew that the money came from Michael Cohen, President Trump's personal attorney, but we did not know that President Trump was repaying that money to him. So then he also said, Giuliani, he said, quote, he didn't know about the specifics of it as far as I know, but he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this. Like I take care of this with my clients. I don't burden them with every single thing that comes along. These are busy people.
So he said so we got to kind of establish this before we move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. He said he repaid him like over a period of months.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Just make sure we make that clear.
Yeah, make that very clear. On. Yeah, exactly. So then he also said that money that was paid by his lawyer the way I would do out of his law firm funds or whatever funds, it doesn't matter. The president reimbursed that over a period of several months.
Yeah, but that's not an accurate description of I think what Cohen and Trump actually did, though. I think what they did was launder money through like the law firm and push the cash through a false LLC to disguise the source of the money. Mm-hmm. So to me, the process is illegal. I guess if you're looking at it from a campaign finance reform perspective, and maybe even a banking's perspective too. So I don't know, but I don't think that's an accurate description of actually what happened between Trump and Cohen. It wasn't just like, oh, clean money here and clean money goes here.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't that.
And the way that he's explaining it is that Giuliani said that this money started being repaid through a retainer. Okay, so Donald Trump retained the services of Michael Cohen, and he was paying this monthly sum to him every single month, and all of that money all told ended up being like over $400,000, some $400,000 to $500,000 or something like that, I believe. And out of that money, some of it was for taxes. But some of it was for the repayment of what he paid Stormy Daniels. Some of it was just profit for Michael Cohen as well. But again, Giuliani said that this started in 2017. The repayment started in 2017. He couldn't be sure whether or not it happened in 2018, but he did state that it happened in 2017.
And this is what he said on Sean Hannity's show.
He said it on Sean Hannity. Yes. Yesterday. Yes. So, if we know for a fact that last month on Air Force One, when President Trump was asked the question if he knows anything about the payment, and he said no, he didn't know anything about it.
Talk to my lawyer.
Then that would have to be a lie, because Giuliani revealed that the repayment of the payment
happened months later. Happened months after the payment.
Yes, and it was happening for several months.
So we got either first Trump didn't know that I guess Cohen paid Stormy Daniels $130,000. Now, Giuliani's claiming that, that Trump did repay the money.
Yes,
but Trump is saying that he didn't repay the money. Talked to my lawyer. So this is some very autonomous money that's just moving around without anybody's knowledge, and especially
it doesn't take a human.
It doesn't take a human. And the money is moving around on behalf of someone who is Trump.
Yeah.
It's on his behalf, but he doesn't know that the money is being moved around. All this money is being moved around without his knowledge. He doesn't know anything.
So, first of all, the money, again, was directed to Stormy Daniels. He doesn't know anything about that. Months later, money is directed to Michael Cohen from Trump. But he doesn't know anything about that either.
Like I said, this money has some serious agency. This money has legs. Well, it doesn't have legs because it's electronic, but you know what I'm saying.
So, in response to this interview that Rudy Giuliani had with Sean Hannity last night, President Trump had a response. Because, of course, after this, after he appeared on the program, of course it was newsworthy. Of course the media was going to pick up on this. So, I guess to get ahead of that, Donald Trump has to get on Twitter and say what he needs to say. So in a series of tweets, President Donald Trump said early Thursday morning, he said, Mr. Cohen, an attorney, received a monthly retainer, not from the campaign and having nothing to do with the campaign, from which he entered into through reimbursement, a private contract between two parties known as a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA. These agreements are very common among celebrities and people of wealth. In this case, it is a full force and effect and will be used in arbitration for damages against Ms. Clifford Daniels. The agreement was used to stop the false and extortionist accusations made by her about an affair, despite already having signed a detailed letter admitting there was no affair. Prior to its violation by Ms. Clifford and her attorney, this was a private agreement. Money from the campaign or campaign contributions played no role in this transaction. There's a lot in there.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. But I guess really what I want to do, because I think Giuliani will kind of lead us there. So if Giuliani didn't do an already horrible job last night on Sean Hannity, he did even worse earlier today. He appeared on Fox News once again early this morning on Fox and Friends. And again, I think this was more devastating than what he did last night. So we have a clip of this that we're going to show you.
He didn't know the details of this until we knew the details of it, which is a couple weeks ago. Maybe not even a couple, maybe 10 days ago.
I remember when Michael Cohen was interviewed about it, and it seemed like he was saying that he was never reimbursed that $130,000, and now it sounds like the story's changing.
Well, he was definitely reimbursed. There's no doubt about it.
So why did he say he wasn't?
Maybe. First of all, if we had to defend this as not being a campaign contribution, I think we could do that. This was for personal reasons. This was the president had been hurt personally, not politically, personally so much, and the First Lady, by some of the false allegations. That one more false allegation, 6 years old. I think he was trying to help the family, and for that, the man is being treated like some kind of villain, and I think he was just being a good lawyer and a good man.
So there were no campaign violations because it was out of Donald Trump's pocket.
That makes it nice and clear, but it wasn't for the campaign.
Right.
It was to save their not their marriage as much as their reputation.
So let's
Well, first he didn't answer the question. They asked him, then why did Trump say he didn't?
No. Why did Trump say what? Go ahead.
Because he said why did he say he didn't know about? Oh yeah. No. Why did Trump say he didn't know about the payment?
Right.
When asked about it on Air Force One.
Right.
He said why did Trump say I didn't know anything about the payment when you said on Sean Hannity that Cohen was being reimbursed? Why did Trump say that he didn't know anything about the payment? Giuliani looked like he was like, what this is about is he just went on to something else.
Well, actually, okay, so no, the actual question, the host asked him about Cohen.
Oh, that was about Cohen.
Yeah, that was about Cohen. So the question she led with, okay, Michael Cohen said that Trump he wasn't reimbursed for the money. Why would he say that when Giuliani is stating that he was reimbursed? He said that he was definitely reimbursed. So then she was like, okay, so why did Michael Cohen say that he wasn't? And so that's when Giuliani looked like he was like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, let's go on to something else.
So he's saying, okay, so he's saying that Cohen was lying about being reimbursed.
Yes. Now, why would Cohen lie?
Because
somebody's obviously lying here.
Because Cohen already said that, he gave the money to Stormy Daniels without Trump's knowledge. He said that. So he's already saying the money went.
Right. So if Michael Cohen is going to make a statement like that, no, this money came from me. Okay, it was my doing. Trump didn't have anything to do with it. If he's going to say that, then obviously there's no way that Michael Cohen would say that, well, yeah, I was reimbursed too.
Yeah, because essentially...
Because if he was reimbursed and Michael Cohen said that, then Trump would have knowledge of the payment.
Exactly, and the point of Cohen trying to get ahead of this was to try to protect Trump. Right. He was trying to fall on his sword. Oh, Trump didn't know. I gave Stormy the money. So...
But now...
Exactly, it wouldn't make any sense, to say that Trump reimbursed me, because it would make, his first admission pointless. It would make his first admission pointless. And I don't think Giuliani realized that until he was asked on Fox and Friends, and that's why he had to kind of pivot to something else. But even when he tried to pivot to something else, he created another narrative that can be knocked down because he then says Trump didn't know about all this $130,000 and how it changed hands until we found out about it.
Right.
Like a few weeks ago.
10 days
Even
ago.
10 days ago. Wait.
That has to be a lie. That has to be a lie.
You know how we know it's a lie? Not because of like thinking about the situation, even though you can think about the situation and determine it's a lie yourself.
Why do we know it's a lie?
Because it contradicts what he said.
Giuliani.
It contradicts what he said the day before, which was
that it was paid out through several months of retainer fees.
In what year?
2017.
Last year. So
nobody had that information. Nobody had that information, but Giuliani offered it up. But then a day later, not even a day later, just the next morning, he says, we all found out about this, including Trump, found out about this 10 days ago?
So it can't be both. It can't be both.
Well, it could be.
Oh, it can be both.
The money.
If the money is autonomous.
Exactly. If the money just floats around by itself.
Floats around, it's just goes
it has a mind of its
accounts.
own.
It has a mind of its own.
Yeah, but it would have to be a mind, too, because it would have to know that, I must protect Trump. You have to shift the money somewhere.
Shift the money somewhere. Not only would it have to have a mind, it would have to have the mind to know which account to go into and which account to come from.
Yeah.
So this money, this autonomous money, goes from Cohen's account to Stormy Daniels' account first.
Yeah.
Without Trump knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Trump's account, this money then goes back to Cohen.
Yeah. So check this out. So this money is so hyper advanced that the original payment didn't come from Trump. It came from the lawyer, right? So Donald Trump's money is so advanced that it knows what other money is doing.
He got the best money. He got the best money.
This is ridiculous, man.
His money is a genius just like him.
Okay, and so towards the end, man, look, Giuliani, I would not want to have ride for me.
Yo, it's like
I don't want you. Don't ride for me, man.
I want to know if he's being paid. I'm like, yo, you're basically Trump is paying this dude to fuck up his life.
Please don't have my back. Never, ever, ever, man. But anyway, so towards the end of that clip, he's saying that this was personal. This was not a campaign violation, right? This was about this was to save his marriage or, his reputation. Again, okay, when did this happen? This was, a few weeks before the election, right? If this is something that's going to help him personally, then automatically it would help him politically. It would have to, because you at that point when you're in a campaign, anything that is helping you personally is probably going to help you politically as well. And if anything that is negatively impacting you will be a negative politically as well. You can't separate the two.
But see, at the end of that clip, he used the word reputation.
Yes.
Like
what's important?
Yeah, exactly. What is important during a campaign is a candidate's reputation. So even if it was for his family, even if it was for personal reasons, it still would impact his reputation as a candidate.
It would impact possibly how voters kind of receive this knowledge. It would impact if they were going to vote for. Of course, it helped your campaign, right?
So it's not a violation of campaign finance law if you do something for personal reasons. Okay?
That's crazy, because it is. So all you got to do is be like,
it's personal. It's personal. Yo. You got to understand. This porn star I paid off. I had to do it. And the reason I had to do it is because I didn't want my family to be hurt. It has nothing to do with my image. It's just that I didn't want my family to be hurt. So I'm going to do something illegal. But it's not illegal because it's for my family. It's for my family.
is preposterous, man. Like if again, you can equate this to anything else. You can like create another analogy or compare. I mean, like if I said like, hey, I had to take this money, my car fell apart, I need a new car.
No, remember what Giuliani said. He said it was based off Trump being his family and him being dragged through the mud because of these false allegations. But remember Trump's tweet. He's basically saying Stormy was coming out telling about all these lies that we had an affair, and she already signed a non-disclosure agreement that said she wouldn't say that we had an affair, even though we didn't.
Right.
So that is where the mud like raking comes in.
If Trump and or his attorney Michael Cohen, if they're cognizant that paying off Stormy Daniels is going to be beneficial to Donald Trump, then you would also have to be cognizant that it would be beneficial to his campaign.
So again,
you can't separate the two whatsoever.
And you know what? The thing is, like, he pretty much went as far as saying that there might be some illegality to what Trump did, because he's basically saying, hey, he didn't say it wasn't illegal. He just said we should look past it because it was personal. He was trying to protect his family.
So one thing to note, George Conway, who is the husband of Kellyanne Conway, who's the counselor to the president, he has been noted for the various times he has criticized President Donald Trump. And on Twitter, in response to Donald Trump's explanation and Giuliani's explanation of exactly what happened, he tweeted a link to FEC rules and what's allowable and what's not allowable, specifically about what's not considered the candidate's personal funds. So this is directly from the Federal Election Committee. It says, if any person, including a relative or friend of the candidate, gives or loans the candidate money for the purpose of influencing any election for federal office, the funds are not considered personal funds of the candidate, even if they are given to the candidate directly. Instead, the gift or loan is considered a contribution from the donor to the campaign, subject to the per-election limit and reportable by the campaign. This is true even if the candidate uses the funds for personal living expenses while campaigning.
Well, wait. It says personal. So it uses the word personal. So I think Giuliani, going on to Fox and Friends, he probably didn't take time to review the campaign finance law from the FEC and thought he could justify it by using the word personal when actually he just dug Trump another hole.
Yeah, he did.
To climb out of.
Now, he did. Now, on the first interview that he had with Sean Hannity, I believe he did say, well, this is something that even if he did create a violation, even if he did violate the law, this is something that's, punishable by a fine or something like that. So this isn't like some big thing, something like that, right? So, and that's true. That part of it is true. It is punishable by a fine, right? But there's also another part of this that's not just solely about just like the money that was directed to Stormy Daniels. So in 2017, Trump had to file a financial disclosure report. Of course he did, right? He left off the money that was being paid to Michael Cohen, the reimbursement funds, the $400,000 to $500,000. He left that off. That can't be by accident. There's no way that was by accident.
He either left it off because it didn't happen, or he either left it off so people wouldn't look into it.
Yes.
So either one of those two things looks real shady.
Yeah. And so with that, that kind of violation is subject to criminal penalty. Now, and under federal criminal law, anyone that knowingly or willfully falsifies or conceals any material fact in a statement to the government may be fined up to $50,000 or imprisoned up to 5 years, or it could be both. Now, the only thing about this, though, is that this would fall into the hands of the Department of Justice.
Let's see. Who is at the head of the Department of Justice, Will? Who is at the head of the Department of Justice?
That would be Beauregard?
Jeffrey Beauregard.
Beauregard, yeah.
Sessions.
I don't think he's going to prosecute
But
President Trump.
I mean, I guess like all is fair, right? I mean, Loretta Lynch didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton, so all is fair, right?
All is fair.
All is fair.
Yeah.
But Hillary, right? So I mean, so it's all even now, right? Right.
This is again. I mean, I don't think anybody at this point, anybody that has been in Trump's corner, I don't think anybody can realistically say or logically state that they believe that this affair did not happen.
Well, see,
I don't believe anybody can say that, and I don't believe that anybody that is in that same corner can realistically and logically argue that Trump had no knowledge of the payment at the time or going forward.
Yeah, so it's not about like
Can't do it.
It's not about. To me, it's not even about the affair. I could give a damn about the affair.
We've said that before.
Because
I don't care.
Because it's almost like the cover up is way worse than the lie. But
It always is.
But why the need for the cover up? Why the need? Because to me, it's not even about like the payment. Because what if the payment came directly like from Trump? What if everything was on the up and up? Because this stuff happens all the time. Like political figures, celebrities get into trouble, and they get their lawyer, and they agree to pay someone off, and know that person signs a non-disclosure agreement, and everything is a wash. It happens all the time, but there's actually nothing illegal about it.
Right.
But
during the campaign, it would be a violation of FEC laws. So if it happened the way you're saying it did, if Trump actually himself personally directed this money to Stormy Daniels, then yes, it would still be a FEC violation, punishable by a fine or something like that, but it wouldn't reach like the criminal.
You know why? Because
aspect of like maybe harder, even punishment, imprisonment.
It would be harder to find out exactly like how that money is defined. How that like the money that's in Trump's account that would go to Stormy Daniels. It would be hard to figure out that money came from a specific place. That would probably be a lot harder. In this case, there was some money laundering going
on. Yeah. Could be wire fraud, bank
fraud, not just campaign.
Just to contain the lie.
To contain the lie. Like,
so you made the situation that much worse.
That much worse. Think
yeah, this junk gets me, man. Like, just everybody close your eyes for a second, man. You know? And I want you to picture the President of the United States. Picture the President of the United States that has been accused multiple times by several dozens of women of sexually improper behavior. Okay? Picture a president that has been recorded on audio, released before the election, saying, grab him by the pussy.
They don't say anything. They let you do it.
They don't say anything. Okay? Picture the President of the United States lying to the American people about an affair and the payment that was directed as hush money to cover up that affair.
Oh, so what are you getting at?
No, I'm not done. No, I'm not done. Now, do you see him? You see the president, right? Now picture Barack Obama. Imagine if this was Barack Obama. Imagine the scandal that this would be if this was President Barack Obama. We've seen people say that Barack Obama had his share of scandals. But that's not like an actual or an accurate depiction of what actually happened during his presidency. But he was involved.
But why though? Why do you think people were doing that though? Why do you think people were trying to conflate? Hey, this Barack Obama has some, I guess, very questionable politics and policies, and then it kind of conflating that with the term scandal. Why do you think that kind of that conflation took place? And we don't agree with Barack Obama's politics at all. We have, we understand what party he's a part of. We understand what that party is about. So, we made kind of those dispositions very well known.
But I wouldn't categorize the things that I disagree with his presidency as scandals.
But you didn't answer my question. But why is that conflation necessary all of a sudden? Is that conflation necessary all of a sudden? Because of the same thing we talk about in regard to Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party, and how there's always this effort to find some sort of comparison, especially
a tool to hit them with,
to try to find some sort of comparison, because they are still in many people's eyes like the epitome of evil, right?
Or the epitome of evil, wicked, dishonesty, any of that.
Corruption.
Well,
again, they are.
Yes, but they aren't the only ones. They aren't the only ones that signify that.
So the need to kind of always find some sort of comparison, it comes from, I guess, people's distaste for the Democratic Party.
Right.
So you find something. Like in this case, there's a scandal every day for Trump. But I guess since Democrats are still on everybody's, top of everybody's list for the most evil, or actually not even the most evil, the evil we have to focus on, it draws that need to always pivot back to them or find the most recent figure to pivot back to, and the most recent figure is Barack Obama.
But see, scandal is something different, because scandal is like breaking away from the norm. You can't call the awful decisions that you disagree with scandals. Like, you could call them the drone in chief, and the drone in chief, right? You can call him that. You can say that he was he deported more people than anybody else, more people than President Bush did. You can say all of that, right?
What about the Blue Alert law that we disagree with?
You can talk about that. But those aren't scandals, because these are things that other presidents would and have done as well. Very likable, very similar things. This right here that is concerning President Trump, this is out of the norm. These are obvious cover-ups. Like, did Obama cover up the use of his drones? No. Did he cover up the deportations? No. Did he cover up that Blue Alert bill?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't cover up
open, which I was pretty
exactly
mad about.
Again, things that we all excoriated, right? Excoriated him for, but they weren't scandals. Scandal is something different. What Trump is living in is a daily scandal.
But remember, and that's the thing, and I think that's the important thing to remember, because kind of Trump's whole mystique and what made him so popular was that he wasn't a career politician. He didn't have that experience, so there was this claim that type of corruption couldn't touch him, right? And so when we talk about career politicians, we kind of always focus on kind of their policy deficits. You know what I'm saying? Our disagreements with their policy. And so now when Trump gets in here, what do we draw from as far as determining what kind of character he has as a politician, or will have as a politician? And so the same kind of character traits that we focus on with career politicians, and drawing what kind of I guess leader they will be based on their policy, like what we did in 2016, what we continue to do now. What do you do for Trump? You look at these scandals to determine what kind of politician he is. He is a politician that's willing to launder money. He's a politician that is willing to cover lies up, right? So
lie and cover it up. So like my question is to people who like unconditionally support Trump, like why would he operate different in the political realm than he does in his personal realm, as Giuliani says, and in his business realm? Why would he operate differently politically? Because Giuliani said this is all personal, right? Right? This is all personal. This is all business to protect him and his family. So what makes people think that he would operate differently in politics? Because they're just projecting that onto him. It's all a projection. They want to believe that. Or maybe they don't. They just want to defend it. Anyway, there will be much more on that. I assume there's going to be fruit gained from the raid of Michael Cohen's personal properties, safe deposit box. Also, there's been reports that they obtained some cell phones from him as well. 16 cell phones, old cell phones. So that probably will produce something. I just saw that there was also even a wiretap, I believe, and there was a call from the White House, I believe. So again, this is messy, man. This is messy.
You know what? I think that like a lot of people like are kind of like brushing off a lot of these Trump issues, especially with his dealings with, Flynn, Manafort, Papadopoulos, Gates, like all these different connections. I think people are brushing it off and brushing the investigation off. Even the part of the investigation that has nothing to do with Russia, I think people are brushing it off because they know that if kind of Trump goes down and kind of Republicans take a blow for this, guess who it probably benefits?
The Democratic Party.
It benefits the Democrats. No matter how screwed up they are as a party, no matter how corrupt they are as a party, no matter how much they don't care about grassroots activism and kind of a progressive platform, no matter how much they don't care about that, unfortunately, if kind of the Democrats take a hit for this along with Trump, they will benefit. And I do think that's kind of what's driving people's need to kind of like kind of put the blinders on because they
see where it's going.
Because they see where it's going. And I think that you're coming from the wrong place.
All right, so that's it on that. We're going to move on. Thank you, Facebook, for being here with us. We have the link to the YouTube channel in the description, so we're going to continue the rest of the show on YouTube. Just click that link, and you'll get to see what else we have to talk about on the show. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you in a minute. All right. I'm just thinking about Giuliani, man. Again, man, I never want that dude having my back, man. Never, man. He is the worst ride or die in the world. Worst. The worst, man. You will die.
That's true. That
you will die.
There's no riding. There's no riding. It's no ride. It's die or die. There's no ride or die. It's you're gonna die.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to who else, man? Who else, man?
I mean, we could stick with I guess issues that are connected to Trump or not. We have one other issue that is, I believe, the icon.
Yeah, let's. You want to do that one? All right, let's go.
Yeah,
to
since
EPA.
it's connected, to the Trump administration.
All right,
we can get this Trump thing over with.
All right, so there's a waiver from the EPA that small refineries can receive if they are struggling to meet fuel standards. This waiver was just granted to billionaire Carl Icahn's fossil fuel company. Icahn is the controlling owner of a fossil fuel company called CVR Energy Incorporated, and he is also the former advisor to President Donald Trump on issues of regulatory reform. So this waiver would exempt Icahn's refinery in Oklahoma from the U.S. Renewable Fuel Standard, or RFS, and it could save them tens of millions of dollars. This is what Reuters reported on Monday. So this is also from The Hill. It says that with the waiver, Icon's company CVR Energy Incorporated can avoid compliance with an EPA biofuel regulation that mandates that businesses spend money to mix oil and gas products with ethanol or buy renewable fuel credits. So this waiver that is granted to certain companies by the EPA, it's a hardship waiver.
Also, you have to essentially qualify.
Yes, you have to apply, and you have to qualify for it.
Is has a financial hardship, so
Yes.
they can't afford to do certain things. So it's almost like a government program, like a government subsidy almost.
Kind of like a welfare program.
Welfare, yeah.
Because these like law states that, or like this law, the renewable fuel standard, U.S. law states that the EPA has to help these small refineries if they can't meet the standard while not like bankrupting them, while not like really affecting their bottom line.
How much? Like, I think Icon is worth about $17 billion. That seems like a hardship to me. There's no way he has that type of money and is worth that type of money if his companies are going through financial.
Yes, he's a billionaire.
hardship.
He's a billionaire, and the company itself makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars a year in profit. So it doesn't make sense, really, that they're the ones that would be granted this hardship protection.
Icon, isn't he that same dude that coincidentally dumped all of his stocks related to steel right before Trump announced those tariffs to China?
Is that the guy?
I think that's the guy.
You think that's the guy?
I think that's the guy.
Well, he's a very knowledgeable guy.
He's very savvy.
Yeah.
He's
business savvy.
He's an investment.
He's an investor. He's an investor.
Genie.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So he can predict what's going to happen and what's going to be beneficial for him, and that will allow him to make moves.
All right, then. So he couldn't predict that his company was going to come under a financial hardship. So if he can just predict, that Trump was going to, get into a trade war with China and just have the investment savvy to dump all his stocks, couldn't he have kind of used that same investment genie quality that he has to, foresee that his company would be going through financial hardships?
Like you said, I doubt that his company is actually going through a financial hardship because, again, there are different aspects to CVR Energy Incorporated. There's more than one refinery, even. So the refinery in particular in Oklahoma, the RFS, the Renewable Fuel Standard, it defines a small refinery as creating no more than an average of 75,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Now, it's possible that the refinery in Oklahoma is doing less than that. It's possible. I can't confirm it. I couldn't confirm it because I saw somewhere it was. I saw something where it was like they were producing a cap of like 70,000 barrels per day, but then I saw other reports saying that no, they're over that. So it's possible that they are under the cap, 75,000 barrels a day, but that's not the only thing that will qualify you for this exempt or for this waiver. You also have to be going through a financial hardship. There's at least proof that one previous time CVR Energy was declined this waiver from the EPA, and that was during President Barack Obama's administration.
Wait a second. Who heads the EPA right now?
Right now?
Who heads
it
the
would
EPA?
Be Administrator Scott Pruitt.
Oh, the environmental villain himself.
That's correct.
Now, if it was reported that after Trump won, Scott Pruitt and Icon had a meeting.
Yes.
Had a meeting. And you know what Icon reported back to Trump?
What's that?
He said that Scott Pruitt was a person that could do away with many of the problems at the EPA.
Yes.
So now he reported. This is Icon reporting back to Trump. So we have a corporate fat cat helping to vet somebody in Trump's cabinet, or somebody who could be potential cabinet member. A corporate fat cat helping to vet a cabinet member.
Yes. And see, and this is part of the problem of why he's actually no longer an advisor, because he's an advisor and an investor, and he's trying to advise Trump on regulatory reform
that could benefit
himself. Of course there's a problem there. So that's why he had to, be released of his role as the advisor to the president.
But that seems like maybe, wealthy, elite people helping wealthy, elite people. But if you don't help the billionaires, then how else is it going to trickle down to us?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something different. I thought you were going to say, if you don't help the billionaires, how do they become like trillionaires or something? Or how do they stay billionaires? Or
no, we're just saying, like, how are we going to get helped if he doesn't help the billionaires first, right? Seems logical. I can think of all kind of justifications and excuses I know people will make. Maybe he's playing the long game, right? Maybe Colt 45 is playing the long game. He's just appeasing these billionaires to trick them. He's trying to trick them, right? Then he's going to play Robin Hood, right?
All right. So I don't think you understand what a trick is. Because check this out, right? Check this out. Like, if you're gonna help a business that doesn't need help by lessening the amount of money that will be relieved, by helping them, they won't have to dish out as much money, tens of millions of dollars. Where's the trick? Where's the trick? Here, greedy business owner, fat cat, save some money. Where's my trick?
He's selling it.
Where's my trick?
He's selling it really well. He's selling the trick really well. That's what you have to do.
And he's not letting anybody know what's forthcoming. Like what's going to come after this.
It's going to come at some point in time. Like I said, Colt 45 is playing the long game.
Yo, and
he's doing all these favors for the big wigs. He's doing all favors for the billionaires just to pump fake. He's just pump faking, man. He's going to come around to the little guy at some point.
But CVR Energy Incorporated, this is not the only problem when it comes to this EPA waiver. Reuters reported that Endeavor, which is one of America's biggest refining companies, they reported a net profit of $1.5 billion last year. They also received the hardship waiver from Trump's administration.
That's interesting because just last week, didn't we talk about HUD Secretary Ben Carson proposing to triple the rent on the low income people,
the poorest of the poor
that receive HUD subsidies?
Right.
They need to work harder.
So again, we see the people at the lowest level of income need to work hard and need to do more to pay their fair share. They're getting too many benefits, too much. We're helping them out way too much.
It creates an entitlement mentality.
Exactly. But the richest of the rich, they're being taken advantage of. We need to save them some money.
Not only do we need to save them some money, we need to make sure they qualify for a waiver for those who are going through financial hardship.
A welfare waiver.
Even though they're worth $17 billion like Icon. It would seem to me that would be a better example of entitlement than poor people receiving subsidies because they can't afford housing.
Yo, the hashtag needs to be something different. Fill the swamp. Overfill the swamp. It's definitely not drain the swamp. It's definitely no, it can't be drain the swamp. Because if it was a swamp before you got in, what the hell is it now? I think I'm pretty sure during Obama's tenure, the average yearly or something like that, the waivers were like in the range of like 6 to 8 or something like that. Mm-hmm. 6 to 8 companies were granted these hardship waivers. Trump is like doubling that.
Okay, so
I think even more than that. He's it might be up into the 20s.
So what you're saying is you can kind of, if you are standing on some sort of principle that doesn't necessarily focus on a party or a particular person, you can have a problem with what Barack Obama did during his administration. You can have a problem with what Trump is doing also, if he is in fact like doing the same thing on steroids. You can do both.
You can.
You know what I'm saying? If you have a problem with how Barack Obama saw his economic policy and implemented his economic policies, then you definitely should have a problem with Trump. There's no
if you're objective.
If you're objective, there's no but Obama did it, because what you're admitting is, well, were against Obama doing it. So I guess by default, if you have principles, you should be against.
Yeah. No matter who does it.
No matter who
you should
does
be
it.
against the act, not who is doing it. The act itself is what you're against, not who's behind it.
So if the act is continuing,
and this is from the EPA spokesman, Jahan Wilcox. He said the criteria used to grant waivers has not changed since previous administrations. EPA follows a long-standing, objectively determined process where the agency uses a Department of Energy analysis to inform decisions about refiner exemptions waivers for refineries that are below the statutory threshold. Also said, EPA decisions on waivers are based on refinery-specific information that is subject to confidential business information protections.
So basically, what I heard in all that is just saying what we're doing is okay because it's been done before. It's always been done.
Yeah, but not at this rate. And also, like the last part of that, the waivers are based on refinery-specific information that is subject to confidential business information protections. That means that we don't have to actually tell you why this is on the up and up. It's confidential. Just know that we're doing what's right. That's what that tells me. Nothing to see here, man.
So basically, are you saying that nothing has changed? Nothing has changed. Are we beyond the point of give him a chance? No, seriously, are we beyond that point?
Oh yeah.
Are we beyond that point?
Yeah. We're beyond that point.
Because this doesn't
far
seem
beyond
like
that
this
point.
doesn't seem like a misstep or mistake. Now, I'm willing to forgive missteps and mistakes. Like when you honestly think that you're trying to help out and it just something falls through the cracks, or it's like it just doesn't pan out, and it's obvious that your intent was to do the right thing. But when we see things like this,
right,
where the obvious intent is to kind of not do the right thing, the intent is to constantly rig the market for wealthy, because this wouldn't be considered like a kind of a free market principle, I don't think, because you're not allowing these companies to sink or swim on their own. Not only, it's actually worse than that. You're giving them a leg up, even though they don't need it.
Exactly.
You're giving them a boost, even though
a protection that small refineries need. You're also applying to larger refineries.
So it's intentional.
That don't need it.
So this is intentional. This is not a mistake. This is not a misstep. So okay. So when do you just go ahead and come to the grips with the fact that this Trump experiment is not fucking working? Not only is it not working, it was a fraud from the jump. So people who continue to say, well, give him a chance. Well,
how many chances?
How many chances? It's not just the chances. It's just if he's showing himself to be this, we are defining our position on Trump based on that. These are decisions. These are this is intentional. An intentional policy direction. Are we not supposed to say anything, or are we not supposed to say anything because there's some sort of arbitrary amount of times he can fuck up
But
and do something that's obviously a continuation of economic policies that everyone dislikes.
But when I say how many chances does he need, or how many chances do you need? How many chances are you going to give someone to show you exactly who they are? Like, you know that old saying, like, I mean, believe somebody the first time when they show you who they are, right? Okay, we're going to extend that to like 2 times. No, forget 2 times, 3. It wasn't fair. Let's give them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Do people do that in their personal life? Do people do that in their personal life when they like just choose friends who to hang out with, or when they maybe choose somebody to date or marry?
If they do, it's never a good decision.
What I'm saying is, like, if there is some like big, huge red flag, you're not going to even come near them. You're not even going to give them the chance to like engage with you, especially if you see something like that egregious. If somebody like robs a bank and you know they're a bank robber, or let's say if somebody is a rapist and you know they're a rapist, or if somebody's a pedophile and you know they're a pedophile, you know this, or if somebody, I don't know, likes to cheat people out of their money, whatever it is, if you see all these things, you're not even going to engage them, nonetheless, like create a relationship and then give them a chance to prove that they are not what you have already witnessed they are.
Right.
You don't even do that in your personal life, so why would you even kind of do that in your political life and how you view your politician? It doesn't even make sense.
The only reasonable excuse, I guess, to associate yourself with those type of people is if you come from a similar background, or you do similar things.
You do similar things, or you relate to
fat cats that are interested in greed and abusing. I guess abusing the economy, abusing their power and their clout.
So, are you suggesting that maybe our politicians, in some cases, are a reflection of a lot of the people that actually exist in society? Is that what you're saying? That's kind of the sound like what you're saying.
Although it's strange because these people in society, they don't have the same benefits. They don't come with the same clout. They don't come with the same power. You know, like they will protect those that are in power that do these awful things, but they don't come from that same type of background.
But maybe is that they are drawing something from it. Maybe by protecting those in power, they feel powerful themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I work for so and so. You ever hear somebody say that? Yeah. Like, I work for so and so.
With pride.
With pride.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you don't have power yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so and so's bodyguard, or I'm so and so's, right hand man. I work for so and so, because they do kind of draw a certain level of esteem and power and value just because they support other people in power. And most of these people in power, even our representatives, not just billionaires, they're pretty wealthy themselves too. And
it's team sports, man.
Well, it's not just team sports.
It's
team
really
sports. Yeah, it's team sports, but it's also the fact that maybe we worship money.
Yeah, but like I said, like the fanatical behavior of supporting a team. Again, you do it with pride, right?
Right.
You do it with pride, like it's like, yeah, man, my team won the championship. You know what I'm saying?
Even though you ain't do shit.
You ain't do a damn thing but wear a hat. Nothing, right? It's the same thing that's going on here. The people that don't care, all this shady behavior, it's not even shady, man. It's like outright scandalous. It's corrupt. It's greedy. It's not in the interest of what's best for the overall economy and people that aren't doing so well in our economy. But for some reason, that's okay. That's okay.
And it's okay because MAGA.
Because MAGA.
Or it's okay because I'm with her. Or it's okay because of hope and change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever the slogan is, it's okay because of the slogan. So no matter what election cycle we go through, all of those things are okay because of the slogan. So if one side has a problem, and we kind of acknowledge that throughout the last election cycle, now that we have a new administration, now that we are under new management, now that, let's say, there are 26 states where Republicans control both.
Yeah, you got supermajority.
There are only 8 states where Democrats do that. So So why now? Why is it now, all of a sudden, that we have to kind of relinquish our ability to be objective?
I'll just say this quickly. Now, there's this belief that, the Democratic Party is awful, it's so awful, it's the worst party, it's way worse than the Republicans. We gotta take them out. That's job number one. Okay. These people believe that the Democratic Party is beyond saving. And the very, at least as far as I can see, I believe that. The Democratic Party cannot be saved, as far as I can see. I agree with you. But like the numbers that you just pointed out, with Republicans having 26 state legislatures, and Democrats only holding 8 states like that. It seems like the Republicans are way more dangerous than the Democratic Party would be. At this point.
Context. When you say way more dangerous, he's not saying worse. He's not saying more or less corrupt. He's not saying more or less trustworthy. He's just saying, like, by the numbers and how much impact that they have in this current day.
Yes.
Like right now.
Right now. They are more dangerous.
Not because they're worse or better.
Although I will say they are worse.
Well, whatever. Even if
but that's not the conversation.
If they're no worse or no better, since they have actually more power now, why would we be focusing all of our attention on Democrats? I'm not saying we shouldn't focus any.
The boo-boo.
Obviously we should, because they're still here and they're still relevant. As much as progressives are in denial about that, they are still relevant. Hillary Clinton got the majority.
We ain't gonna change the bandage, man.
I don't have a boo-boo anymore, man. My Hillary boo-boo has healed. That's been healed, man.
Can't you get boo-boos from both parties?
No, obviously not. Obviously not. Only Democratic Party. Only the Democratic Party slices people up.
Well, let's go to the source of that boo-boo right now. Let's go to the source of that boo-boo.
Yes, let's go to the source. I think
Queen Bee herself.
I think it's appropriate to segue into this next story. Like I said, because the Democratic Party is still relevant. Right. We should still talk about them, but like the context of that discussion is important.
Right. So Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, the former presidential candidate, hopefully the never again presidential candidate. She was interviewed on Wednesday with Time Inc. Brands executive Alan Murray, and I don't think I need to set up even any more than that, really.
I don't actually on this show, and actually probably on most progressive shows. I don't think it's necessary to set up any Hillary Clinton clip.
Just let it ride.
Just let it ride.
Yeah, and then
we might not even have to talk about it, but we will. You know what I'm saying? We might not have to talk about it.
So anyway, she made some comments about what may have ailed her in her campaign to be president in 2016.
You may be the only presidential candidate since World War II that actually had to stand up and say, "I am a capitalist," and you did. Did it hurt you?
Probably. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to know, but I mean, if you're in the Iowa caucuses and 41% of Democrats are socialists or self-described socialists, and I'm asked, "Are you a capitalist?" and I say yes, but with appropriate regulation and appropriate accountability. That probably gets lost in the, oh my gosh, she's a capitalist.
I mean,
you talk, Will. I ain't talking. I ain't saying shit.
Okay.
This is all you.
All right. So Queen Bee, Teflon Hillary.
No, Queen C. It's Queen C.
Teflon Hillary. So she believes that it's very possible that she was negatively affected by her stance as being a capitalist. She specifically points out Iowa, and I remember that as well, because I remember because it was very early on. I believe it was the first one. Yeah, it was the first caucus. It was the first one, and there were a large number of people that were like, yeah, we believe in socialism. I mean, yeah, that's cool. So she believes that her saying that she was a capitalist, even though I don't remember her actually fielding that question.
I don't remember her fielding that question, nor do I remember. Shit, I said I wasn't gonna talk. Anyway, I don't remember like her just coming out and explicitly saying, "I'm a capitalist." I don't remember her using that language.
No, I don't remember that.
We could have missed it, but
it's possible.
It's possible we could have missed it, but I don't remember her like using that language explicitly.
No, and then if she did, it probably didn't generate any news because it's like, okay, it's like you're a capitalist, right? Okay, do you realize that damn near all politicians are capitalists and will say they are capitalists as well?
So she is mentioning something that is not unique to her, but
it's not divisive
affected
either.
her uniquely.
Yes, it affected her uniquely, even though it's not a unique position. It's not even. I mean, like, okay, she's right. Okay, that especially in Iowa. Again, like I said, there were a large number of people that were like, yeah, we like socialism way more than capitalism. Fine, cool. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people in this nation that are feeling like capitalism. I'm not feeling it. I don't care. No, we need to do something else,
fair.
Right?
Capitalism is fair.
It's fair. See, that's exactly where I'm going. The reason why there's such a negative stance towards capitalism is because it has been an obvious failure. Now, has that harmed somebody that is running for president or running for political office for them to be like, I'm a capitalist?
Was Barack Obama a socialist?
No.
Did he run as a socialist?
No.
I'm gonna stick with Democrats. I'm not gonna go to Republicans because we're talking about Hillary Clinton. And she was the Democratic Party's nominee for president. Did her husband Bill Clinton run as a socialist?
No.
Okay.
No. But you know who did run as a socialist or a Democratic socialist? That was Bernie Sanders. He didn't win the Democratic nomination.
Well, no. Okay. And he didn't win the Democratic nomination. And since we're talking about, this question was about a particular state, and her answer was concerning a particular state. What happened in that state?
Yeah, Iowa
during the primaries.
It was close.
It was close.
But ultimately, Hillary Clinton won it.
I think she won. You think so?
Yeah, it was close, but she ultimately won it.
So, if you're going to attribute your popularity, like as far as in general, right? I guess to you labeling yourself as a capitalist, kind of wouldn't it be like I guess more comprehensive to mention more than one state?
It would be, but that's not what she did.
Not just one state, a state that you won.
Yeah, that again. If we're talking about a difference in economic policy ideas, there was a clear difference between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, yeah, he said it himself. He said he was a self-described democratic socialist, right? And he explained what that meant to people. Now, that did not prevent media personalities and Hillary Clinton surrogates. That did not prevent anybody from saying he's a damn socialist. They dropped the democratic socialism, right? And they say he's a socialist. There's no way we can elect a socialist because we're a capitalistic country. He's a socialist. So if anybody was negatively impacted by socialism, or like I said, or by an economic vision, it was Bernie Sanders, because he was hit on it time and time again. And he ended up losing the Democratic nomination. How is Teflon Hillary herself going to come forward now and say, well, you know what? It's very possible that it was damaging to my campaign. Leftist, people that vote Democratic, they don't have a particularly fond opinion of capitalism. You have absolutely no idea you lack introspect. You have no idea what's going on.
But what was her vote? What was her vote count compared to Donald Trump?
Well, she
got like over 2 million more.
Yeah,
almost
millions
3
more.
million.
Yeah, millions more. Yeah,
almost 3 million.
Right. So, of the voting public, her ideas were better. Of the voting public, her presidency was, I guess, more wanted. They wanted to see her in the White House more than they wanted Donald Trump in the White House.
By the numbers.
Yes, by the numbers. But so hold on. Okay, so hold on.
Maybe she was saying that people were thrown off. Maybe she was saying people were thrown off because she was filthy rich.
But hold up. In the general election, there was another somebody that was filthy rich.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. He was filthy rich, right?
But hold on. Donald Trump doesn't believe in capitalism, though, right? Does he?
No, he didn't.
No, he does.
Yes, he does.
So you're telling me in the general election there were two candidates that were very similar on economics?
Pretty much. No. Okay, let me put my put my scarf on again. With the proper regulatory limits.
Yeah.
My
appropriate regulation and accountability.
Exactly. Appropriate regulation and accountability.
Right.
The limits I pose on capitalism should have made me a more desirable candidate. William, Queen C has spoken.
But she was.
That's not what I
But she was.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said just now. Okay.
But Miss Clinton, glad to have your presence on the show. You said that it impacted you, but okay, if it impacted you, I'd like to know where. Was it just the primaries you were talking about, or was it the general? Because actually, by the numbers, you won both.
Look, William.
I didn't know we were going to have Hillary Clinton on the program.
I didn't know I was going to be here either. I didn't know you were going to devote a special segment just for me.
Yeah.
But see, that doesn't matter, William. Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter. Like, the numbers don't matter. Mm-hmm. Like, other politicians being capitalists, that doesn't matter. I have to find a reason. That's just me. You know this. I have to find a reason why I wasn't able to win other than, I guess, how my campaign acted in the primaries and during the general election.
Because, look, there has been talk that you virtually ignored some states like Michigan.
Oh, you mean the
Wisconsin,
states that I ended up losing?
Yeah. There's been some talk that you kind of took it for granted and you really didn't show up. You just felt like you had it in the bag. I don't think capitalism hurt you there. It was you weren't there.
What about sexism?
Very good. I wasn't expecting that one. Very good. Man, she it's like a worldwide tour of excuses for why she does not occupy the White House. A worldwide tour, man. And she comes up with different things now. I mean, it's not like one narrative. It's like, no, it was this, it was this, it was this, it was all of this. See, all of this. But here, me? Oh, no, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. Couldn't have been me. Capitalism is what hurt you in 2016, huh? Capitalism. Interesting. All right. I forgot to mention too about the whole Trump thing, about the scandal. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she of course did the press conference today, the daily briefing, and she told another lie about it as well, because she said that this is something that they just learned, They just learned some facts. Trump didn't know anything about the payment or the reimbursements until recently. It was something that he had no knowledge of, and then something he, quote, eventually learned.
So basically, she was just kind of parroting what Giuliani was saying.
Same thing. Because of course you can imagine that there were several questions about it, and she kept referring back to Giuliani's comments like time and time again. And it's just pathetic, because it's like we all know you're lying. You know, we all know you're lying. We all know Giuliani's lying. We all know President Trump. We know everybody is lying, because there's no way that you just learned about what happened and the payment started back in 2017. Come on, you just can't rectify that. Come on, man. It's sad, man. Come on. I mean, you can't reconcile those two things together. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, all right, let's go on. Let's go to finally go to the school in Texas, man. All right, so we've covered a story before, a similar story to the story that we're going to cover now. There was a school in Texas. It's a charter school called Great Hearts, Texas. Recently, they've been in some controversy because there was a teacher at an eighth grade class, and the teacher gave them an assignment to list the positive and negative aspects of slavery. This was a picture of the assignment that was handed out to these students, and the title, you can see, "The Life of Slaves, a Balanced View."
A charter school in Texas did this? I'm shocked. A charter school in Texas. I'm so shocked.
A balanced view of slavery.
See, when I first saw the headlines about this story, I thought it was going to be I don't know, maybe one of those multi-part kind of questions, maybe I don't know, like a two-part question, maybe like a progressive question, where they would say, hey, what was positive about it? And then they would say, argue about your answer. That's what I thought it was going to be. But when I saw that, where it had the two columns, where it had positive aspects and negative aspects, that didn't do it for me. The phrase at the top is what did it
for
me.
The life of slaves.
And let me know what this was really about. That kind of provided the context, what the exercise was actually trying to get at. Because
so
it wasn't just
setting it up.
It's setting it up. It wasn't about slavery, because it says a balance.
The life of slaves, a
balanced view. So what does that tell you?
The life of a slave,
so it's
what
not
was
about
positive and what was negative.
Exactly. It's not about positive aspects of slavery in general, but it was kind of a way of suggesting that like slaves weren't, treated like complete trash. You know what I'm saying? Although they were oppressed, their conditions came with a certain amount of amenities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
From time to time, they were able to sleep.
From time to time, they were, able to eat high off the hog.
Sometimes they were able to talk to each other.
Sometimes they were able to sing and dance and sing Negro spirituals to lift themselves up during times of stress.
So even like what you said at the beginning, I mean, it still would have been a problem if you were talking about, all right, overall, if we're looking back in slavery and we want to see the positive thing that occurred from it. I still have a problem, because it was no, you can't say that something positive was erected from slavery. Slavery was damn awful. It was brutal. It was. There's no way you can tie anything positive to it. The positive was to it ending.
You know how you could ask that question, not in the same way, and frame it differently? You could say, what arguments did slaveholders and proponents of slavery use? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What
to I guess justify
it, okay, and to be a proponent of keeping that institution alive. What arguments did they make?
Yeah. And go back and actually research why they wanted to have slavery.
Exactly.
Not going to the mind of them, but just actually have it recorded. Like, all right, what did they use to say that this was necessary?
This was necessary and justified.
That's fine. That's fine.
It was positive for the country.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So on the other story we did, this was months earlier. It was similar to that, but it was different because the teacher wanted the students to get into the mind of the slave owner and say, okay, get into the mind. What would you think would be a positive aspect? It wasn't about researching history and saying what did they use to justify their position on slavery. It was like, you create. You want somebody to act racist you can't do that. No.
It wasn't actually an exercise to get them to think.
No,
it was an exercise to kind of, I guess, it was they didn't have it that bad lesson plan.
Yes,
that's what it was.
Yes, but yeah, this exactly. This is about the actual daily lives of slaves. It wouldn't be entitled that way if it wasn't the life of slaves.
A balanced view. So what we have to do, we don't need to demonize the institution of slavery.
Right.
We don't need to demonize the institution of slavery because
let's come from a balanced approach.
We got to come from a balanced approach. We can't look at it as an institution that was I guess completely marginalizing, that
completely despicable, that devalued human beings to property. We can't look at it like that. We have to kind of see the bright side of it. We have to balance. We have to look at I guess that there's a thin silver line around that dark cloud. Will? Daily, too.
Daily.
The life of slaves. Obviously.
Maybe. Maybe they can point to slaves that, had high positions, like your house slave. Those slaves had it good. Yes, of course. You know where I'm going with this, Stephen. Stephen had it good.
Yes. Stephen
you know what I'm
had
saying?
it very good.
And maybe other slaves could have rose to his level.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
They could have worked hard and got a promotion.
While still in slavery. So it was good to be a slave just as long as you were a subservient slave.
I mean, you do, want this to go smoothly, don't you?
Anyway, of course.
You don't want to rock the boat. And if you don't rock the boat, you will be able to sing and dance.
Right. And sleep.
Sing Negro spirituals.
Yes.
Eat high off the hog.
Yes. Without problem.
Maybe work one less hour. You see what I'm saying?
So, of course, this was controversy, and they caught a lot of criticism for this. The superintendent of Great Tart, Texas, said, quote, "To be clear, there's no debate about slavery. It is immoral and a crime against humanity." He said, "We sincerely apologize for the insensitive nature of this offense." So, the superintendent, his name is Aaron Kendall, and he said that this was limited to only one teacher. And I guess they were in the process of trying to determine where the assignment came from. Was it something that the teacher had constructed, or did this come from the textbook? The textbook that they use is from Pearson. That's the textbook's publishing company. But Pearson distanced themselves from this whole controversy on Twitter. They said, "We agree this is unacceptable. We have investigated this and determined that this worksheet is not our product." So if that's true, then it would have had to been the work of this teacher who has been put on leave, on administrative leave.
I mean, don't usually teachers have to run? I don't want to completely, just blame everybody on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because some schools they kind of require teachers to turn in a lesson plan.
Mm-hmm. They do.
I'm not saying whoever
can't be on a whim, hey, do this. They have a lesson plan.
Somebody didn't catch it. Either somebody didn't catch it, or this. I guess it was a kind of a specific off the side exercise, or off to the side project that couldn't be caught. I wouldn't expect, I guess the person that the teacher reports to to see every single little assignment. So,
I mean, like you saying about the lesson plan, these things are not constructed daily. I mean, at the beginning of the year, you know what you're gonna do. At the beginning of the year, you know exactly what you're gonna do, and especially if you're not a rookie teacher, the lesson plan doesn't really change. I mean, the way you go about it may change a little bit from day to day.
Adding stuff to
adding stuff, removing stuff,
that's why I said
figuring out what's better and stuff like that. But the context of what you do, the content, it's really gonna all remain the same.
True, but again, I know this teacher had to turn in a lesson plan.
Yes.
Even with that being said, I won't just definitively say that this part of the lesson or this exercise or this project was actually seen by that person.
What from by the principal or something like that?
I don't know who they have to report to. Usually they have to report to another.
There hasn't been any
like some sort of like a high-ranking teacher that same subject.
There hasn't been any, I guess, revelations made about that, or exactly where this worksheet came from, like who produced it. There's been no confirmation on that. It's just been speculated that it could have been the teacher, or it could have been the publishing company, the textbook publishing company.
And again, it is a charter school, so they you know what I'm saying, they might have to go through a different process. I don't know. Like, I don't even know the process that like a public school has to go through as far as approving a teacher's like lesson plan or curriculum. I don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure the rules for a charter school might be a bit different.
I don't know, but I know one thing. When I saw this story, I was unsurprised that the state in question was Texas.
And it's a charter school.
In Texas. Yeah, very unsurprised. Texas being the state where they made changes to the textbooks, and those textbooks are being distributed to many states around the country. And I guess one of the most abusive things they did with the textbook is kind of reshape slavery. They they
recontextualize it to kind of frame slavery within a different narrative. That it was like more like they were like servants,
right? And
like slaves voluntarily. These black people voluntarily became slaves.
Yeah, they were employees.
Right?
And they did wonders to the Civil War as well, saying that it was not caused by slavery, or that slavery was just like, I guess a factor, but a small factor.
Yeah, and and always mentioning that that there were black people that fought for the Confederacy.
Yes.
So that should kind of squash and disprove the narrative that the Civil War was centered upon slavery simply because there were black people that fought for the Confederate Army.
All right. All right. So we've noted many times on this program that there has been an increasing number of Republicans that have been choosing to get out of politics, retire from politics, and not seek re-election. Well, U.S. Representative Mo Brooks, who is a Republican from Alabama, he thinks he knows what's going on here. He has an idea what might be spurring all these sudden retirements and all these sudden decisions to not run for re-election. He thinks that it might be that these Republicans have a fear of being assassinated.
What is he using as the base to that premise?
He noted in 2017, if everybody remembers the it was the practice for the congressional baseball game. It was a Republican practice, and you remember there was somebody there that shot up the practice.
Then Scalise get?
Yeah, Steve Scalise. Yeah. I believe he got shot in the hip, and I believe there was 5 others that were shot as well. Nobody died, well, except for the suspect, the gunman. But Yeah, it was a heinous attack. But he believes, Mo Brooks, he's now stating that he believes something like that is urging people, or I guess summoning this spirit in them to be like, hey, I think it's probably more beneficial to protect my life because we see the way things are going. We could really be assassinated in the future, so let's get up out of here. He noted that some of the politicians, the Republicans that are retiring, like Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona, and Representatives Tom Rooney and Dennis Ross of Florida, they were all at that baseball game. And they all have stated that they're not running for re-election. So he's putting two together.
But is that something that they mentioned themselves as the reason why they're not running? They mentioned that themselves. Has anyone mentioned that is the reason why they're not running again?
Not a one. They, Flake has said things like, pretty much it's because of the Donald Trump effect of politics. He doesn't like his style, his language. It's like a very poisonous atmosphere, so that's why he's getting out. Ross said pretty much the same thing. None of them said because I fear an assassination attempt.
But, okay, second question. He's talking about all these Republicans. Where did he specify that these assassinations would come from?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that. He said that the, quote, socialist Bernie Sanders wing of society was pushing for a revolution that would lead to violence. There's a quote. Brooks said, quote, there are a growing number of leftists who believe the way to resolve this is not at the ballot box, but through threats and sometimes through violence and assassinations. The socialist Bernie Sanders wing. That's where the threats of violence are coming from. These are the people that are so unhinged.
Does Bernie Sanders,
that they want to cause violence.
Does Bernie Sanders and the revolution that he promotes have anything to do with violence or overthrowing the government with violence? Maybe because it just has the word like revolution in it. Yeah. And it seems like isn't the extreme end of the GOP always ranting about using Second Amendment remedies, I guess to handle their grievances? If you look at how they activate politically, isn't that kind of a slogan that they use? We might have to find Second Amendment remedies to fix this. They're always ranting about that. So I guess maybe he's projecting that onto everybody else. Like our extreme wing's idea of revolution involves guns and violence and overthrowing the government. So anytime somebody else uses the word revolution, it must mean the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Violent. Revolution equals violent revolution, even though,
because that's the way that the extreme GOP likes to revolt. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, to the extreme, right?
To the extreme. So I guess he assumes anytime that any other group uses the term revolution, it must mean scary. That same thing. It must mean scary. It must mean violence. It must mean assassinating people. But
that didn't come from Bernie Sanders' campaign.
I know it didn't.
Of course you have those people that are like, get your pitchforks and man, we got to storm the gates. I mean, they are in the absolute minority. They're in the absolute minority, taken to the streets like an armed attack and an armed assault. They're in the minority. Like, there's virtually no one actually saying, like, we need to kill these politicians.
So, like, one shooting last year supports this dude's premise, but right-wing paramilitary groups openly fantasizing about, overthrowing the government violently. That's no biggie.
Yep. Killing Obama.
Oh, I was about to mention he received more death threats than any other president in history.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Trump did too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Trump received death threats.
Right.
So it's like death threats is not like unique to any particular politician or president. So, and actually, what group bears the most responsibility, like as far as domestic terrorism?
Domestic terrorism.
Domestic terrorism.
They seem to come from the right side over there.
Like I said, so even if it is true, so let's just say if they are getting death threats, and it's not unique.
Exactly. This is something that's been going on for generations.
Like unique to either side.
It's just that there was a specific case where Republicans were gathered together and there was an attack. There was an assault and people got shot. Republicans got shot. So, of course, Republicans get shot equals leftists are trying to kill us. Let's get up out of here.
Man, whatever. These Jews are cowards, dude. I think it's just ironic that they're afraid of death when so much of what they promote policy-wise paves that road for, I guess, the citizens that they serve, to die faster. You know what I'm saying? Affects their livelihood, but now they're scared of death. I'm so scared.
All right, we can briefly talk about this too. So there's this teenager in Utah named Keziah Daum, and she recently went to prom. And some of you may have heard this story. She posted pictures of herself and her friends on Twitter. Now, for her dress, which we know, for a female, it's all about that dress, right? You got to pick the right dress. You got to pick something that you really want it to stand out, of course, right? So she went to a vintage store in Salt Lake City, and she found a dress. Okay, it was a red cheongsam. It's also known as a kippah, right? It's a high-collared, form-fitting, traditional Chinese dress. So she said about the dress, she said, it, quote, really gave me a sense of appreciation and admiration for other cultures and their beauty. So on Twitter, these were some of the pictures that she had posted. So that's her in the red dress right there, and then the photo on the right hand side, that's her and her friends. And we'll get to that pose probably.
Both of those poses.
Yeah,
the poses that are being done by the men in the background and the women in the foreground.
So anyway, so after these posts, it went viral, and it went viral because there were certain people that felt like this was disrespectful. They felt like this was cultural appropriation as well. So there were some users on Twitter. There was one that said, "My culture is not your goddamn prom dress." Also, it said, "I'm proud of my culture, including the extreme barriers marginalized people within that culture have had to overcome those obstacles. For it to simply be subject to American consumerism and cater to a white audience is parallel to colonial ideology." Somebody else said, you just don't wear it if you're not Chinese. It's not something you play dress up with." So those are just some of the comments that were out there, and where people had problems with this. And like I said, it was about cultural appropriation, disrespect. What do you think about it?
I mean, I don't know, man. Describing this situation as cultural appropriation seems like a bit of a stretch. Mm-hmm. And I do think that the fear of cultural appropriation played a part in their people's reaction. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a fear, and that fear is legitimate. But in this case, I do think it caused a knee-jerk reaction.
I think the same. I think the same because, like in cases or instances of cultural appropriation, it's not about the individual. That's at least that's my view. It's not about the individual. So I remember a certain magazine that was advertising like new hot hairstyles for the summer or something like that, right?
I remember that.
You remember that, right?
Oh, I remember that.
This was a few years ago, maybe something like that. And the hairstyle, well, one of the hairstyles was an afro. Right, and it was, like I said, it was like a hot hairstyle for the, fresh hairstyle for the summer. The only thing about this advertisement was that they were using white models for the afro. Now, historically, the afro has been considered messy, nappy, unprofessional, something that is not celebrated whatsoever. So for a magazine to promote this as something that's new and something that is now like wanted and acceptable and something that is praised and not use black models, like, whoa, you're doing way too much right there. That's cultural appropriation.
Around that same time, there was another magazine who was kind of featuring hairstyles too and using like white models, and their magazine catered to a mainly white audience, and they were like braid styles, and all they were doing was taking the braid style and the original name, and changing it to a different name and saying it was a new style. That's an example of kind of like cultural appropriation.
Yeah,
you
it's
know what
like
I'm saying, when it starts to become a trend,
right,
and it gets popularized amongst another group, or specifically the dominant group, without mention of the original origin.
That exactly. So see, like, it's on a macro level, not on micro level. If there's a company that is trying to set a trend, actually, based on something that has been like that has always been there in history, but that has not been celebrated, and now you're trying to offer it up to your white audience, that is cultural appropriation. Yeah, like, if there is a white person that wants to rock an afro, do it to the best too. I won't have a problem with it at all. I could care less of that individual or them two individuals. I don't care what you have every right to wear whatever you want, style your hair exactly what you want. I won't say two words to you. But in these cases, when the magazine is trying to promote it as something that is white now, purposely forgetting that this was something that came from black heritage and that was not celebrated back in the day.
So it's like capitalizing on a cultural model in ways that the original group was not able to or prevented from doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And so this case with this particular teenager wearing this dress, I don't have a problem with it because, one, it seemed like she wanted to do it because, one, like I said, she saw the dress. It was beautiful. She said it was beautiful, and it caused her to really appreciate other cultures. Now, again, there were other people on Twitter, and they were saying how, like, hey, it has a lot of significance in Chinese culture, and it's not something that you would just wear. But if you actually look at the culture, right, or the history of the style of dress, like, I think in its inception it was actually like a wider, looser dress. The modern form of the dress now is like this tighter dress now, right? It could have a split in the leg, something like that. But it was about I guess people that were like high in society, that were well to do, but it wasn't something that was just reserved for like Chinese people or a certain type of occasion or certain one occasion. I saw one Twitter user incorrectly state that it was only for weddings. It wasn't whatsoever. Also, what I saw on Twitter that it was that a lot of the people, and I'd probably argue that most of the people that had a problem with it weren't Chinese. They weren't Chinese. So I was like, so a lot of these people were white. I'm like, and you have a problem with it, and you're calling it cultural appropriation and something that you shouldn't do. But there were several Chinese people on Twitter that was like, nah, man. Like, this is our our heritage and stuff like that, and like it's a product from China, but damn, no, like get it out. It's like, hey, wear it, appreciate it. Yeah, that's cool.
So what does that tell you? So what is this really about then? If a lot of the people that we're talking about it being cultural appropriation were not even Chinese, some of them were white. maybe there's something else about this because you said it went viral. I'm trying to figure out like how it went viral first off because she's what 17?
17.
She's 17. All these people were following the 17-year-old. How did it go viral?
Nah, they weren't following her at first. No, she's gained a lot of followers, like probably thousands of followers.
All I'm saying is something is fishy here.
Yeah,
something is fishy here. I'm not saying the teenage girl is responsible for the fishiness, but if most of the people who were outraged about this were not Chinese and were white, I'm just saying
something's going on.
It was almost like somebody was creating false outrage to promote this girl in some kind of way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that could. Yeah,
that could be.
I wouldn't put it past it because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, especially if most of the people were not Chinese. So it was almost like you know how like companies will put out controversial or leak controversial commercials and it gets them a lot of publicity. Like, it leaked.
What's the old saying? Any publicity is good publicity.
It's good publicity.
Doesn't matter if it's bad or good, right?
And let's say it's not. Let's say this young lady was incessantly attacked, for this dress. How much sympathy do I have for her? For people on the internet disagreeing with her?
Not much. No.
Twitter arguments, like she doesn't have to read the replies. And she said she's going to keep the pictures up there. I don't care. There's nothing really about her life that's changing. It's not, none of the animosity that's come from people in her immediate environment. It's just the internet. So it's not really a lot of sorrow I have in my heart for her just because of the response. It's just people disagreeing with her on the internet.
No, I'm not like this isn't to like protect her or her feelings. This is just about really the subject of cultural appropriation and like how it actually surfaces, like what it actually is. It's not about an individual. But that the other post, the other picture.
Oh, the hand gesture.
Yeah, the hand gesture. Okay, now you're doing too much. Now you're doing too much.
Well, this is what I read on some site. There was an explanation for both of those hand gestures.
I didn't see the one for the males.
I found the one for the males. Supposedly that hand gesture, whatever they're doing, that one apparently came from some sort of like internet personality that they all just happen to like.
Oh, the YouTubers. Yeah, I forgot the channel.
Something
something or something like that.
Yeah. They apparently did that pose. Did that hand gesture was making fun of vape culture.
Right.
Now the gesture that they were doing.
Yeah.
That was coincidentally linked to some other hashtag or internet. I guess person as that's called like Papa Praise.
Right.
I don't know what that's about.
But it will take you to like Chinese culture too.
That's the thing. I can't really definitively say that it was surrounding like kind of an internet meme.
Yeah,
but since the other one was an internet meme too, I'm led to believe that was based on that Papa Praise.
But see, you could say that, but then she has the dress on too.
That is kind of a coincidence.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so if it was about the YouTube thing, fine. That's nothing. Who cares? But if it was because you were wearing that dress that was Chinese and now you're kind of trying to
mix the two,
mimic like a Chinese kind of expression or something like that. Like if that was the thing, like don't do that. Like don't do that. Especially if you do that, don't take a picture of it. Don't put it out there like that. That's doing way too much, and that might actually be disrespectful.
Like I said, things just don't become viral because some random 17-year-old girl posted something on Twitter.
Nah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's something else behind this, man. Especially since most of the people that were outraged were not Chinese. It's like outrage with a purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree,
again, I agree.
It all just boils down to there are certain cultural traditions and standards that were marginalized, demonized, and ignored by the dominant group. But years later, those same cultural standards just magically become acceptable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
More than acceptable, too.
And then
celebrated
and capitalized on.
That's
now,
right.
That is cultural appropriation.
That's right. That's right.
This one, not so much.
Yeah. It's weak. It's weak.
A little weak.
Yeah.
This one's weak.
All right. So that's what we got for the show tonight. We got a few more things we could talk about, but we actually did invite somebody to speak with us tonight. We don't know if this particular individual is going to or not, but this individual had a problem, and we've talked about it many times, but of course about the Jimmy Dore video that we did, or one of the Jimmy Dore videos that we did, the one about the marijuana and Republicans and Democrats. So this individual had a difference of opinion, and so we invited him, I can't say that it's a him or her. We invited this individual to call the program tonight, because we noticed that the last program that they kind of slid by, made a comment, but then didn't say anything. Slid by, like a drive-by comment, didn't say nothing else. So, hey, you have a different opinion. You feel like what we did wasn't on the up and up. Come talk to us about it. So, again, we don't know if the individual is in the stream right now or if they will call in to talk, but we're going to open the phone line so that, people can call in. And if they do, then, we can get at it. So the number to call is 669-900-6833. If you do have a comment or question and you'd like to be heard on the program, please give us a call. Let's set this up. Is yours on?
Yeah, mine's on. I can hear it beeping. I didn't hear it say I didn't hear the little prompt come on.
Okay, no. It's like
still beeping.
All right, you know what? Let me, because this will be the second time now that this happened where it just doesn't automatically connect like this. Here we go. Let's see. Connect. Why is your beeping so fast?
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, it is like rapidly.
Yours isn't connected yet. We're gonna have to cut it off and cut it back on, I think.
Yeah, mine's it's just beeping and that's it.
Yeah, cut yours off real quick. I'm gonna cut mine off.
It's still beeping, even when I hold it. Doesn't do anything even when I hold it.
VCube said Dianne Feinstein suddenly came out and supported legalizing marijuana.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Is it off?
Now it's off.
All right, now turn yours back on.
Okay.
All right, is it on?
It's not beeping as fast, but.
All right, hold on, let me.
You see it beep. It's still blinking, but not blinking fast as it was. Oh, okay, it's connected.
Hello?
It said connected.
All right,
yeah.
That's when I put mine on, and that's when it did it. All right, cool. All right, now we good. Love technology.
Oh man.
All right. I think we have somebody in the environment that is waiting to speak with us. Yes, we do. All right, so we have area code 614. You're on the program with LTMB.
Hey guys.
Hello?
Andrew. How's it going? Can you
What's
hear
going
me?
on,
What's
Andrew?
up, man?
But just on the last subject, I only caught the last part of the show with cultural appropriation. I think it's a symptom of a tendency for a certain group of people to want to tone police everybody. Right? That they, and the type of person who are usually doing it, are usually the type that use like weaponized identity politics without context, that they use it without like class analysis, which if you know where the term white privilege actually came from, you're not supposed to divorce it from class analysis. Right, so white privilege was about structuring the working class in such a way that the working class would fight against each other, instead of all the working class showing solidarity together and guillotining the rich. Right, there's some guys on Twitter that go by the Black Socialist who did a really long, in-depth explanation of all this, which is worth a read if people can actually want to find something useful to read on Twitter as opposed to the usual. But Brianna Joy Gray also wrote an article about this for this particular subject, pointing out that this is a complicated thing to talk about, and most of the people throwing around the term don't seem to understand the concepts that go into the term. Right? They're throwing it around as an attack, as a way to tell people to shut up and you don't get to talk. But that comes back to that particular group of people. They like finding a reason to tell other people to shut up. Right? That's what they do. Right? They're going to go to their bag and they're going to find some reason they don't really care that much about to say, you need to shut up and you need to shut up and you need to shut up. I'm the only one who gets to talk. And they're typically, and as much as I don't like profiling, most of the people I've run in doing it are financially secure and white. Right? That's just, like you said, all the people you see complaining about that dress seem to be white. And it's the term I've seen that touches on it better, if you ask me, is someone said, look, cultural exploitation is bad. Appropriation is not the right word, right? Right. Now, if you were going to say that the way they use cultural appropriation, right? If you were going to say that cultural appropriation is bad the way they say it, anime wouldn't exist. Right? It's an interface between Western and Japanese culture. It completely would not exist if some people in Japan didn't like appropriating certain aspects of Western culture, then mixing it in with their own existing stuff.
Right. It's a product.
People in the West like it. Yeah. Like, no, this is just a style of dress. Right? You can wear whatever you want. Right now, if it had religious significance, or it had some kind of significance that this is a reminder of a group of people who are oppressed, that you're not shouting out to, but you're taking something from their culture, like using an ceremonial Indian headdress without being, I shouldn't have said Indian, it's racist. Anyway.
We know what you mean.
Yeah. It's the difference between exploitation and not exploiting a cultural group of people, and it usually has a lot more to do with it's a problem when you're taking something from a culture without crediting the context and the background, and that didn't happen here. The girl liked the style of dress, who I'm fairly sure if you talk to the Chinese community, the leaders in that community and everything else, she wore it with respect. She wore it to say that this looks fantastic and I want to wear this. Most of the people in that community and of that culture are going to go, yeah, man, you're killing that.
Yeah, it was like, thank you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a product that she appreciated.
Maybe if she was like doing some other activity in it, you know, then maybe they might have had grounds to say something, you know, like mud wrestling or some shit.
Or maybe she just wanted to destroy it because it was what it was. You know, that would be disrespectful.
You know,
but
she was I don't got nothing against strippers.
I mean, I think,
you know what I'm saying? Well, if she wore that at the strip or something, then I can understand.
Well,
too much.
I think that one of the cases where someone didn't think before using it was, I'm trying to remember her name. The lead singer of No Doubt did a video clip where she was actually wearing a Hindu religious type of makeup. Now, that was inappropriate because the thing she was wearing it for a look, but she didn't share the religion and the beliefs and everything that went with something that had a religious significance for that community. So that was incorrect. I believe she apologized for it, everything else. But it's one of those areas where you do take be aware when you're looking at something from another culture. Try to be respectful. But most of the time when people are screaming appropriation, they don't know what they're talking about. It's about respecting and that's everything. Anyway, I just thought I'd add that in. I don't know if it lets me post links on the thing, but I'll link Brianna Joy's article in the comments when you guys put this up if people want to read it. It's definitely worth a read. Most of her stuff's Brianna Gray. Most of her stuff's awesome anyway. Anyway, guys.
All right. Appreciate it, Andrew.
Cheers, guys.
All right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I tend to, I agree with most of what he just said. Sometimes I think that, identity politics without context, it's like identity politics is not a problem, but kind of when people take on that topic and kind of are kind of chaotic with it and hyper knee-jerk to everything,
right?
You know what I'm saying? It kind of loses value. It's just identity politics without any context, and maybe that has to do with, now I don't know about the tone policing. I don't know what that has to do with, because if there's a bunch of white people who are trying to tone police other white people on behalf of minorities, I think it's just kind of misplaced activism or misplaced solidarity.
It's doing too much.
It's doing too much.
It's doing way too much.
And even if it's like black people or Chinese people or Hispanic people who are kind of knee-jerking about cultural appropriation, I can understand what that's based off. That's more of an emotional reaction, because if you're more prone to hoard anything and to value something about yourself, especially culture, when that's kind of all you've been able to own, when kind of you've been disenfranchised. You know what I'm saying? That's all you can hold on to. I don't think we live in that particular time period anymore, so I don't think that type of hoarding is completely necessary. But I can understand why that mentality exists in an emotional sense, because for so long, particularly marginalized groups have been kind of pushed out of, I guess the powerful realms of society. So they're going to try to, you know what I'm saying?
All right, let's get to the next caller, man. 443. I think this is our regular caller, Court. What's going on?
Hey, how y'all fellas doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
What up?
Doing good. I got kind of I have a lot of comments. So as I stated Tuesday, I've been writing on Reddit, and I've been talking with people, and I noticed something, and I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it all day. I'm very crass, and I'm very short, and I have very little patience with people when they bring bullshit. Right? Like I just don't. And what you guys have been talking about tonight, with the double standard, for Trump to go out there and pay off an adult actress that he had an affair with so he could make sure that his Christian evangelical base didn't get any ideas about what type of man he really was, although they fully should have known, because he did talk about sexually assaulting women in an interview. But that was, that it was cool for him to try and hide that, because I guess he thought that his crowd was gonna turn on him because of that, even though they had heard that he basically goes into dressing rooms, with teenage girls in there, and he will leer at them because he's rich. and because they let him do it. That's what he says. And you'll get people, these diehard Trumpers, who they get on social media or whatever, and they just spout off these regurgitated facts. All these facts are just bullshit. They're not facts. They're talking points. And when you challenge their talking points, all you get is more bullshit. That's why they appropriate people's cultures. That's why they scream and yell at the top of their lungs about cultural appropriation. That's why when you hear like the reverse racism and the reverse affirmative action, you have to when you think this way, you have to use your opponent's weaknesses that you created, and you have to apply them to yourself, because you know that what you did is so bad that they really don't have a defense. And even though you want to continue to berate them and exploit them, there really is no way anybody with any good sense would agree with you. So what do? You couch it in this veneer of concern trolling. Really is what it is. A bunch of white people complaining about a Chinese dress. Let me tell you about how America treated the Chinese. I mean, they were basically an instrumental part of building the Transcontinental Railroad. You might even say Chinese labor was the first thing that connected the country with anything like an internet, like an internet-work, a railroad system. Did you see any pictures of Chinese people when they connected those railroads? No, absolutely not, because they weren't considered human. But now you're going to talk about how their culture is being appropriated so that you can have something to scream at people about. And I don't have patience for it, man. Like I just don't have patience for it. And can you guys kind of talk about how I can try and gain? I mean, I know you can't. You shouldn't shut people down like that. But it's getting to the point where saying anything to these people, you're giving them more fuel to attack you. You cannot reason with these people.
Man, I will say, man, I think I could ride with what you were talking about, how they prioritize what they're outraged about, and possibly the reason that they do that is because they don't want to actually deal with those matters that had a greater impact on other people. So that they kind of focus on these really fringe issues that they really don't have to give anything up for. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can just rant on Twitter about some dress, and I guess to make it appear as if you're sticking up for Chinese people, you don't really have to give up anything. But if you actually dig deep into American history and look at the legacy of, I guess, the United States in regard to how it treated certain people and how it benefited from keeping certain people down, and how that actually reflects upon the society we live in today, and how that kind of benefits people today, then yeah, those people would have to maybe dig a little deeper. They may have to consider maybe giving some things up if they examine history from that standpoint. But if you just kind of tone police people on Twitter about what they wear, then you don't have to give up anything. Now, as far as trying to communicate with people online, sometimes you just have to pick your battles, because long time ago my pastor said something to me that kind of I guess influenced how I interact with people. And he used to tell me people are where they want to be, and sometimes for the most part you can't force people out of a place that they're in, a mental place that they're in. They have to be ready to come out. You can put some things out there and then see if they latch on to them. And it doesn't take long for me or you to see whether that person is interested. And if they are not interested, then that is a battle that is kind of not worth fighting. So that's kind of how I approach online discussions. If I put a few things out there, you know what I'm saying? If I put a few things out there, they don't catch it, then I already know what I'm dealing with, and I just let it go. So that's how I would approach it. Put something out there to see if they catch it, and if they don't, you already know they're not willing to deal with it, and they are where they want to be. And if they want to be in a different place, then they kind of would latch onto those first things that you threw out there. So I would just worry about fighting the battles that, you know, you can win. And I don't necessarily you're fighting a battle to win, but you're just winning someone over, I'll say, you know. So that's kind of what I'll say. I don't know if Will has anything to say about that, but
no, well, I'll get to it.
I guess the best thing to do is just to not respond. I guess. I mean, it's hard not to respond. I mean, you want to, because they troll you. They come in, they say this awful, nasty shit, you know, about the dominance of Western civilization and how people are coming in and destroying it, even though Western civilization is
destroying the world.
Right
yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's the world, right? It's the world. I mean, everybody knows what's the predominant language spoken around the world. It's English. English. It's the most Western language you could possibly think of, and yet they are under threat. So I guess you're right, Mike. I guess the best thing to do is to just not respond. But damn, it's tough sometimes, man.
No, it is tough. I ain't gonna sit there and say I'm not gonna sit there and preach. You know, sit there and preach to you and act as if I am like I've dealt with everyone online perfectly. Because sometimes I get caught up too, and sometimes I have to tell myself what I just told you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
All right, man. Thanks, Court, for calling in, man. We're gonna go on to the next caller, man.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good weekend, man.
You too.
All right. We got 714. You're on the air with LTMB. What's your name? Oh, hello? You're on the air with LTMB.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Mic check, mic check.
You're good.
1 2 1 2.
Hey, this Recluse.
Hey, what's going on, Recluse?
Recluse.
Hey, yeah, no, it's been a minute.
What's on your mind, man?
Oh, too much. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump off into what Kanye was talking about. Can we do that?
Oh Lord, man. We
talked about it. We talked about doing that on the show. We kind of ran out of time.
Side discussion if we had enough time. We were trying to say that for last if we had time. So I guess you were the agitator here.
Oh man, I don't mess up the program.
Go ahead and say what's on your mind, man.
What's on your mind, man?
Well, I hate the fact that it goes two ways. We're not talking about the guy that we was always talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But then again, now we're talking about a guy that is like, yeah, it's supporting the dude that we wasn't trying to talk about. It doesn't make it's sad. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah,
I wanted to keep it light. I just wanted to kind of keep it light though, man, because like every time I watch y'all show, can't help but appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you watching, man.
I gotta step away from it because all the idiocracy, all the ideologies that we have to deal with is like, wow, is this is what it's come to? So it's just frustrating. But at the same time, I just want to keep it light and not get too specific. I was just joking on that Kanye. That's the last time you hear me say that name.
I mean, I like you when you talk about like stepping away from it. Like we even understand that because before we did this show, I remember paying attention to politics, but then sometimes happen to step away and not even pay attention to what the news is delivering because it's just like so many hypocrisies and just like what's the way forward, when you think something positive might happen, of course it doesn't, or it's limited. It's like it gets to be too much. So I guess that's why when we talk about things, most of the time we laugh about it. I don't think it's intentional to do that, but it's just, when discussing it, it's just like, man, you got to really kind of appreciate just the outrageousness of what we're actually talking about and how people are able to apologize for it and just be okay with some of the things that are going on consistently. It's amazing, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, because it's like a quadruple standard. There's a quadruple standard. It's ridiculous. It really is. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but it really is. It's just a quadruple standard. And, yeah.
I think as far as the thing is, like, I think people's response to Kanye, I think it's a combination of still people trying to, I guess they try to conflate what they feel is his musical genius and his political ineptness. And so they're trying to apply his musical genius to his kind of political thought. And as well, is that sometimes we as humans will try to draw something positive out of something that we are not sure has any positives to it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what people are doing here. Like, you know, like I've heard people try to, I think, you know, you try to draw like some sort of positive from something. Like you try to find the diamond in the rough or the diamond in the big pile of shit. And I think that's what people are doing with the Kanye thing. And it's not nefarious in some ways. It's just people trying to draw something from it. But I just think people are reaching a bit because I've seen a lot of people.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely.
I think people just are trying to like recontextualize what he said into something else to make sense of it. It's like trying to create order out of chaos, you know, because I've heard it all. Well, maybe he was trying to relate historical slavery to mental slavery in the modern age. And slavery is a mental thing, and it was a mental thing now, and it's a mental thing now. I've heard all kind of stuff, man. Maybe he was trying to maybe he was trying to say that we make a choice to operate in a system that enslaves us, yada yada, and we got to fight together to get out of it. Somebody mentioned something about like Harriet Tubman and that saying about I could have saved more slaves, but someone to go back. But again, that's still like you're trying to make him say something that he didn't. Like for some strange reason.
Oh, it's not strange.
It's not because
it's not strange.
It's without context.
It's the defense of Kanye.
Well,
It's the defense of Kanye.
Because
it's not strange.
To check this out, like okay, if you're going to mention that in defense of Kanye, but add no context, then your defense of Kanye kind of makes no sense. Because if we're talking about actual contextual slavery, historical slavery, and a slave mentality, because again, that's what Kanye is talking about, a slave mentality. But a slave, like, if you're talking about a slave mentality, you're saying that the mentality was created by the environment of slavery. You see what I'm saying? So you're not saying like, so it's actually not a choice, because the mentality was actually created by the institution, by the environment. So to say it was a choice actually doesn't make sense.
But hold on. But the thing about that though is that there's really no defense of what he said, and I don't think people actually. I mean, like you see this effort to defend what he said, but I don't think they're actually in their mind thinking about, okay, let me see how I can really defend how slavery is just like a concept, something that you put yourself into. I think it's all about hero worship. They have such affinity for Kanye West. They're like, okay, he must have meant this, even though I can't really I guess frame it in such, but at least I can distract from what he actually said, and I can take the hit. He doesn't have to take any of the hit. I can take it for him. Even though it's like you don't know, just like you said, like these people are putting words in his mouth that he did not say. Like, this dude is a big boy, right? So just let him speak for himself. If he meant something else, that's on him to spread that message. What he spread was something that can't be defended.
So basically, if you have to change it up that much to find context, all you're doing is proving that Kanye shouldn't be delivering messages at all. You know what I'm saying?
There's one guy in the chat. There's one guy in the chat, Jay Scott. Jay Scott said the one he was right in saying that people should be free thinkers, right? Now that's like it's kind of like a
catch-all.
Yeah, it's a catch-all, but it's kind of loaded though, because it's like, yes, it's kind of right, it's kind of wrong, because yes, people should be free thinkers, but that doesn't mean that you should be absent of logic. Like, just think, like, there might be some. Well, no, there might be. There are some racists that are free thinkers, right? They're free to think that like black people are lesser than white people. they can be described as free thinkers. That doesn't mean they're right or that it's like justifiable or anything like that.
And to me, like free thought without critical thinking or critical thought is a bit empty. And
kind of like the absence of thought.
It's like you can have all the free thought that you want, but without critical thought, it's just chaotic and unorganized. And and I like if you actually listen to every single thing he said, and not just the whole slavery was a choice. You know, he made like comments that like you know, he wants to do and say things that are kind of the opposite of what everyone else does and says. You know, it's like he's like, I don't want to do things that everybody says I'm supposed to do. I don't want to do that, which is great. Go against the grain, but
that kind of sounds like he just wants to be a contrarian.
Exactly. It doesn't make you necessary. It doesn't mean like it's like whatever you're thinking now should be valued simply because you're going against the grain, or simply because you're saying things that are not the status quo. Doesn't make those things you're saying or the things you're doing like valuable or should be highly valued. It's just like in general, like as a default, like I think his perspective like is on the right track, but how he's applying it actually doesn't make sense. And if you think about it, right, if his whole message, and people have recontextualized the whole message to mean, oh, she's just talking about fighting the system. And he's just talking about people banding together and fighting the system that's enslaving you. Well, if you're contextualizing it down to that point, you are admitting that he's not saying that's anything profound, because that's something that's being said now. That's something that's always been said. That's something that's like we have talked about. That's something that most progressives have talked about. That's something that most people who are talking about economic equality are talking about, like fighting the system, getting out of this kind of slave society. So if you're going to recontextualize it to where that's what he's talking about, then now you're saying he's not really saying anything profound and actually saying something that like resonates with most people and has been resonating with most people for quite some time before he made those comments.
Well, let's hear from Ray Clues. Why do you think he said it? Like, why do you think he said it, Ray Clues? Or what do you think was behind it? I guess
he's simply comfortable. That's the only way that can come out of your mouth.
Ooh,
you ain't gotta walk out of the house. You ain't gotta walk out on the street, on the sidewalk the next day, and deal with what everybody's got to deal with on an everyday basis. And I think the cat that was on TMZ, and I'm not no TMZ, cat, but like I think what he said, it was really well put. You can't just say that and walk away without any kind of repercussion, because there's people out here, we got to deal with that. We got to deal with that. When we believe and we are actually living exactly what has happened to a certain extent, based on just the constant just dehumanization of another human being. I mean,
but I think, like I saw exactly what you saw on TMZ when he was talking to the guy, and the guy had some remarks back to him. He then afterwards he was apologizing to him, like, I'm sorry I hurt you. Like I don't know if there is some you don't you're not. But one thing, right? Like I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't know Kanye, right? So I don't know if this is like him just trolling. Yeah, I don't know if this is like something that's genuine in him where he's like actually not thinking about what he's saying, or if he is thinking about what he's saying, he actually believes like this ridiculous type of mentality that he's really coming out his mouth with. But when he was apologizing, he was like, well, I'm sorry I hurt you. Like, I had a problem with that even because it was like, man, this ain't about like one individual guy. Like, it's not about this one guy's feeling. It's about what came out your mouth and how you just totally got everything wrong about it, and like how your comments are so loaded and so wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's not about just one guy being offended.
What if I told you that was the first black dude he's seen in like the last 6 months?
Exactly. So you're saying like Kanye doesn't even. So you're saying Kanye doesn't even recognize his own privilege, and so he can get out there and speak so freely about stuff, and not even like recognize the consequence of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's an elitist. He thinks
he is an elitist.
Some information.
Yeah.
But when you really live in that life, no matter what side of the spectrum on, you got the real. You know what it is. He's not living a life that the majority of people are living and having to deal with, as far as like trying to get policies changed just so that they can stay alive.
You know what? I'm glad you used the word "the real," because like everybody wants to be like super Negro, super Black, super Cyan, Khalid Muhammad type, poke your chest out. I'm gonna jump off the slave ship because I don't want to be enslaved. That's more honorable. Jump off the slave ship. That's that Killmonger shit that works in movies. That's not real life. That's not real life. So everybody wants to be super Negro, super Black. You jump off the slave ship before you decide to be slaves.
Literary license.
Literary license. Yeah, but but in the statements, he acts like, okay, so again, it's ridiculous to even debate on this because we know how wrong he is. But if you're saying that slavery is really like just a mindset, something that like was like you kind of created based on your situation, it was something that you could have got away from or whatever like that. That's like suggesting that people didn't actually do that. Like people didn't actually try to fight back, like physically or anything like that. No, people did, and people died. They died doing it. So. It's like he's
into submission.
Yeah, they were beaten, and like I was talking to Mike about this just a couple days ago about this, and like there have been social experiments where the end result is people just adapt a certain type of behavior because it's learned. Like, and oftentimes they don't understand why they're gonna continuously do it and teach other people how to do it. It's just something that is learned. And with slavery, these people were beaten into submission. They were killed. They were raped. They were stripped of everything that they had, their names, everything, right? You're telling me that they weren't in a mental place of slavery because they weren't in actual slavery?
That's what I was saying. I was like that. It was like the mentality is created by the environment and by the condition, and to kind of separate it, you were like trivializing the whole thing. And like you said, or you suggested there was consequences to rebellion.
Right.
I mean, it's not just like physical punishment. They would threaten to sell your siblings,
yes,
or threaten to sell your significant other,
right,
or threaten to sell your children. Yes. So there was consequences. So like when Harriet Tubman was talking about, I could have saved more, but someone to go back, they weren't afraid of being free. They were afraid of the consequences
right,
of being caught, which is not the same thing.
Oh, and then the other aspect of this that we talked about too was, he's talking about, so it was pretty much slavery by choice, okay? Because in some areas, maybe there were more slaves than slave owners, white people that were there actually controlling these slaves. Now, these are different properties. These are different plantations. How are all of these slaves going to communicate to each other without the internet, without telephone, without anything? How are they going to actually communicate a mass scale revolt?
We got, we must have like a built-in black Wi-Fi.
It's built in. You gotta have some Jesus.
It's built in. It's like we have like a.
You have the right drums.
We have a Wi-Fi receiver built into our DNA, all black people, so we can communicate like that. But you know, it's like the whole idea about like it being honorable, yes, to kill yourself so you won't be in this. Like again, that is more about kind of providing a more, I don't know, like an exaggeratory tone to revolution when that's actually not very realistic. Because think about this, if all those damn slaves would have really did that and jumped off the ships and killed themselves, damn near 85 to 95% of us wouldn't even be here right now.
Right.
Think about what that suggests. You know what I'm saying?
But actually, when you think about it like that, right, if somebody, especially somebody that has a family, right, if they're going to go out there and just act like, you know what, look, no, I'm bigger than this. No, you can't contain me. I'm actually going to revolt myself. They get killed. Isn't that kind of selfish? I mean, especially if they got a family too, right?
Exactly.
And most slaves had families that they had to worry about. So it was very strategic.
You got to have the perspective that you're going to sleep, and every hour You have to worry about if you're going to wake up or if somebody is going to be snatched from, you know what I'm saying, your mat on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, that you gotta have that. You gotta have that realization that actually happened. He doesn't have that realization. His realization is, I'm not going to go there because it is way different than from the facts, you know, and from literature, from people that were able to educate themselves when it was illegal to read, it was illegal to sing, dance, but then now all of a sudden that's all we can do, and now it's time to vote, and we can't even. No, they ain't even trying to have that either. This dude is demented, man. But again, he's a Trump. You know what I'm saying? He's a chump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Elitist chump.
But
well, we appreciate you calling in, Ray Kloops, man. Sharing some profound comments, man. Appreciate it. Love to hear your voice, man.
Nah. Glad to be watching y'all and appreciate what y'all do, man. So yeah, I'll be checking for y'all.
All right, man. Have a good weekend, man.
All right, salute.
All right, we got one more caller. We got a few more minutes, so we're gonna get to this. It is 319 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB. Who's this calling in?
Hello, this is Snork Y2K in Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, we recognize you, man. We see you in the chat sometimes, man. What's up?
Just bringing up the Ford story because I think race relations could get really bad if the economy really gets bad. And to me, Ford announcing that it is going to discontinue manufacturing automobiles in the United States is a horrible thing for our economy. General Motors is following suit, announcing that they're going to discontinue 6 models of automobiles, including the Chevy Volt. Chrysler Fiat is also following suit, and we're going to be left with almost no American manufacturing of automobiles. Ford has decided that only trucks and SUVs are profitable. They have completely lost the automobile market to offshore. And I actually used to go help when there was problems with factories. And I know that right before the economic collapse during the Bush administration, actually it was during the Obama, I guess, but the 22,500 of the 27,000 parts built in the typical car at that time were offshored. The contract was for an additional 7% per year increase in the amount of the car that was going to be manufactured offshore just to keep it profitable to make them in the United States. And the people without jobs can't buy cars. So the car lots are full of cars they can't sell. And basically we had one hope left. And the largest manufacturer or purchaser of anything in the United States is the U.S. Pentagon. If the U.S. Pentagon had just made one little swift requirement that the car wants to be sold to a Pentagon, that it had to contain American-made parts, that would have kept the entire United States economy running. But the most idiotic thing that President Obama ever did was claim that it was a big win when he let all of the feeder plants for the automotive industry leave the country. Because, like I said, 27,000 parts go into a car. A few thousand people put together one car with those parts. And all of the other feeder plants were in other countries putting together the parts, and they'd ship them to the United States. So by keeping the assembly plants and giving away all of the manufacturing of all the feeder plants to other countries, it gutted. Well, if there's 27,000 parts and a typical factory has 500 people, how many jobs did Obama give up just to keep a few thousand? And we haven't even seen the financial fallout for it. This is like an economic nuclear bomb just went off in 100 different cities in the United States. And I'm seeing news about it in Wall Street Journal and some financial magazines. But Ford on the 10th has got a meeting to discuss it with the people. But as far as I'm concerned, this is it. This is like the flare that goes off at the beginning of the Depression. We shut down these plants. We are officially in a depression.
All right, let me cut you off there because I think we only got like a few more seconds, and you're gonna get cut off anyways. But we will. Yeah, appreciate you calling in, bringing that comment up.
Wow.
Because I don't think I realized it was as bad as that. I know I saw some news about Ford probably a couple of days ago, something like that, saying that I think there were only 2 models that there were going to be. There were only 2 models that I think they were going to be only produced in America anymore. I can't remember what those models were, but if these other car manufacturers are going to be leaving the country as well, what's Trump going to do? I know this isn't just a problem that Trump is responsible for or anything like that, but he is the jobs president.
Exactly. So he should be able to fix this if he's the jobs president.
Yeah, because if he steps into, like you say, because he said that the situation he stepped into was a mess. You know, you had people that, bad leadership couldn't construct good deals, and that's why different companies were leaving America and, setting up shop overseas, different countries. But I believe that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was supposed to rectify a lot of that. Especially because of the corporate rate that was slashed.
Yeah, but again, that's not going to do anything because that didn't include hard infrastructural change at all. That's the problem. It was a transfer of wealth. Mm-hmm. If there's no demand, if there's no factories to supply that demand, there's nothing to drive the economy. So it's just money moving around. There's nothing there to put people to work. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And again, I know we're talking about Trump, and we're not trying to not talk about past presidents like Barack Obama. This has been going on for quite a while. No matter who the president is, if it's a Democrat or Republican, seems that our economy just gets worse. That income disparity, that wealth gap just continues to increase. I mean, it continues to widen. Companies continue to leave our country. Then we have to deal with lower wages. Middle class making lower incomes is what makes everything bad.
Boy, Snork is funny. He's like, I believe that the bumper and the instruction manual will be thrown into the cars to consider them to be made in the U.S., even though 26,098 of the 27,000 parts will be made offshore.
Wow.
So the bumper and the instruction manual is going to be made in America. He's so stupid.
Man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man. Again, like I'm saying, man, it seems like as much as things change, they stay the same. And I know people have said that before, but it just continues to surface. That continues to be our reality. And the people that believe that Trump was going to somehow turn this thing around, yet employ the same type of tactics, I don't understand how that was going to happen.
Or employ the same type of people, what I'm saying?
That will employ the same type of tactics.
Same type of cabinet, the same type of mentality.
Right.
The same type of people that, want to, gut regulation in order to make it easier for them to make money off of the backs of everyone else. Yeah.
So this is why somebody like, and we don't know that Bernie Sanders is going to run for president in 2020, but this is why somebody like him, it would be important for somebody like him to actually be the president. Now, we understood in 2016 that if he became the president, it wasn't going to be like, bam, automatic change, because we know there's going to be a resistance. We know Congress is going to resist, but at least things will, you wouldn't, like, things won't continuously get worse as, at the rate that it's going right now. At least it would be like a standstill, because you would have somebody in there that's like, okay, I'm not going to exacerbate the problem. We're trying to like pull it back. We're trying to make things better. So there may be some period of inactivity, really, to where Congress is like, nah, man, no, we got to do for our donors, man. We ain't trying to do it for these people. until the American people finally got in their head that like it's really on us to really get people in office that will enact the type of legislation that we want to see here in America that makes things better. So it's important to get the right one, man. You know, I hear a lot of times, you know, politics, you know, it got to start from the bottom up, and I don't know.
That's true
in some cases.
That's true in like, but before you even start from the bottom, like even that's saying you're starting from somewhere. You're still having to, when you say start from the bottom or start locally, it's like people make that sound easy. Like starting from the bottom doesn't require some sort of, I guess, effort to infiltrate the system.
Right.
Like, yeah, we're not talking about federally, but those strongholds and those impediments are still there locally. So even if you start at the bottom, you're still going to have to get past that same mentality to get there. You still got to get past the same
suppression.
You still got to get past the suppression. You know what I'm saying?
It's still hard.
It's still hard. So starting at the bottom to me means more about here, more about mentally. Starting at the bottom to me means dealing with the common denominator of your fellow constituents. That's the bottom, not necessarily local politics, which is important. Starting from the bottom is, like you said, if you're having to get people to buy in to that a new system, or to get people to buy in to the idea of electing the right representatives, but that would take an effort from people. So that's the bottom. Actually, the bottom is not local politics. The bottom is
the mindset.
The mindset.
Quickly, I just respond to something Court said when he was talking about just his problems with, you know, actually running into people online and trying to converse with them, trying to change minds and stuff like that, and getting upset.
We talked about this last show. A little bit.
Like, look, I stayed away from social media for quite some time. Yeah, I didn't even get onto Facebook, I think, until like 2010, 2011, something like that. And even when I got on, I checked it maybe a few times a year. You know, I didn't get on it. I didn't conversate with anybody. I think right at the beginning, I started reconnecting with people from Brooklyn, you know, where I came from, and like, oh my gosh, all these classmates I haven't even heard from or anything in like over a decade, you know. So it was definitely like cool. It was like, man, this is great. But then that died down, and I didn't touch the thing for, I mean, like I said, for like maybe only a couple times a year.
Honeymoon wore off.
Wore off completely. It wasn't until 2015, around the time that the Confederate flag here in South Carolina was being taken down from the state capitol grounds. That's when I got back, or that's when I actually got on, and I was seeing all these conversations about it, and I was seeing all these dense, like, or I was seeing all these confusing points and like this analysis that just did not make any type of damn sense. And I was seeing the same thing that Court was talking about. I was seeing like how people were going to lengths to excuse behavior and just creating like these defensive positions based on nothing, just like out of thin air. It was based on nothing, right? And so I would try to just attack it, and I mean, I would spend hours and hours and hours just on my phone, like, no, it's like this. I got all the facts. I'm right on this. There's no way you could beat me. And ultimately, it didn't work, and it still doesn't work. You know, sometimes I will cave in. I'll be like, man, all right, let me engage this person. All of this has, I guess, debating with people online, I guess it has solidified in my brain that this is indicative of the human condition. Like, this is who humans are. I think before we started this program back in 2016, I had way more faith in humanity than I do right now.
Well, that's because you are kind of forced yourself into a position where you were engaging with more people than you were.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I won't say that all hope is lost. I'm not saying that. It's just I think anybody that engages, you know, in public discourse, you know, engage and just like mixes ideals and you know, just gets wrapped up in discussion. You see exactly what Court was talking about. You see exactly what we talk about. And it is disappointing. It's just confusing, like how another human being could like just miss it, just completely miss it. Logic and reason is right here, and they just completely miss it. And there's just like nothing you can do to get them. There's just nothing you can do. It's like something else is going to happen for them to actually get the point, to actually arrive at like truth, or like to arrive at like some kind of real understanding. It just, I don't know, man. So that's the battle that I think we all face, man. I think everybody's trigger point is different. So there's not like a one size fits all here. Court, man, keep doing what you do. Don't stay away from it. Don't not engage, different types of thought, and I don't think you would do that. Don't do it. I mean, like if you're on there till like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, like daily, don't do that, because that's gonna wear your ass down straight up, because it does me. Sometimes make a comment, see where it's going. Like you can tell if it's some foolishness. Like if it's like some real foolishness where I got to like,
sometimes
what I do yesterday, a couple days ago, I put the phone down, had to walk away.
Yo, you had to change positions. Like this all I saw. He was like, what I'm saying, doing the thing. He probably checking scores and shit. That's what he was doing on ESPN. So he's like, yeah, man. We were talking. This was after the show. Yeah. We was in Liz's living room. He was like, man, the Bucks scored like 50 points, blah, blah, blah. Talking. And you can tell when somebody gets notification. You tell somebody get notification. You put the phone down. And he's like, all I saw was this. He was like, and the mug just walked across the room. The mug just walked across the room. He said, he didn't say nothing to me. He was like, he just walked across. He's like, walked across like 10 feet. And I was like, yep. He done. Somebody responded with something stupid. He didn't have to say nothing. Yeah. I was like, what'd he say? I was like, I already knew.
Exactly, man. That's what happens. So at that point, like you don't re-engage at that point. Like when it's that devastating, like that response that you get, it's like just cut that off, because that conversation is not going anywhere. It makes no sense to continue that conversation. It just, all you're gonna do is stress your own self out, because it's gonna get way more stupid. It like the lengths that person is gonna go to next is gonna even be more crazier. So just
remember we talked about at the beginning with Giuliani and lies.
Yeah, man.
Lies work the same way as like rationale. Like if you lie, right, and then somebody questions you on it, you have to cover up the lie. You actually have to be more ridiculous to cover up that first lie. So it only, like, the ridiculousness gets deeper and deeper.
If your position is that you're not going to admit to it.
So if you
got to continuously defend.
If your process of how you rationalize things is so convoluted, and someone makes some points that kind of maybe illustrate how that doesn't make sense, in order to rationalize through that rebuttal, you have to get more ridiculous than the first rationalization. So
no doubt,
that's why you just go further down. It's not even a rabbit hole.
Man.
It's like it's. I don't even want to describe it as a rabbit hole. It's just like something else, dog. It's something else. It's not a rabbit hole.
It's like, but sometimes it can catch you. Like sometimes you can't see it coming. So it's really like you're just like la 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 la, just going down the hallway. La la la. Oh snap! Just slid into some trap or something.
You slipped on a banana peel.
Something.
Somebody threw a banana peel.
You didn't see it coming, man. You're just trying to have a good time, just trying to debate somebody. You see an opportunity. That's what people see. See, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. You saw an opportunity to change somebody's damn mind.
Oh no! See, that's the thing. I pass those by more so than ever. You know what I'm saying? I usually pass those by. Yeah. I usually pass by those. I'm like, man, I ain't trying to change nobody's mind.
I see, because me and him, we be talking, and there's some threads like that I'll be in maybe, or that he be in, and I'm like, I'm not touching that, and vice versa. I'm not touching that. I just be reading his comments, be like, yep. I'm not getting in there though. Nope, not getting in there, man.
I'm like,
I like the last one though. You remember the little meme that you put out there? It was like some like stick figure or something like that, and then it had the point going across.
Oh yeah, it said the point, and the stick figure was like. That's all. That was my response, man. It's like, you just totally missed the point. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna like write anything else.
It's hard, man. But
before we go and give a shout out to Ninja X,
yeah, man,
for contributing through Super Chat, and we really appreciate it. And also, he made a good point. It says
Very
free
good.
thought without reason is dangerous. Yes.
Very dangerous.
Free thought is important, but without reason and without critical thought, it just is empty.
Exactly.
And if the thought is free, you can't be mad that people get mad at. You can't be mad that people are mad about what you're saying, because also, like, as a consequence of you or anyone else having free thought means you have the free ability to say something, whatever that means. You also have to accept both praise and criticism, because the thought is free to receive either or. Right. So if it's truly free, you would welcome both praise and criticism. Otherwise, it's actually not free.
Back in the 2016 presidential primaries, the Democratic primaries, there were Bernie supporters that categorized themselves as free thinkers. And we did that because if we weren't free thinkers, you probably would have been supporting the establishment queen herself, Hillary Clinton. But you saw that there were clear differences, and the free thinking mind that you have was able to deduce that, hey, this looks like the better route right here. I'm a free thinker. I'm just not going to go with what is like the road that's paved for me. Nah, there's another option over here, and it's considerably better.
You're free. It means you're open.
Yes.
Free doesn't mean
objective.
I have objective.
Yes.
So again, if you're listening to what Trump has to say about Trump, he actually wasn't being objective. And actually, like I said, if you break down to what he says is just people being free and freeing themselves from the slavery of the system, it becomes not that profound, and something that has been said by multiple people, like, for the longest. And actually, you know, how many votes did Trump receive? 58 million, 59 million, something like that.
60, well, almost 60 million, something like that.
So him coming out in support of Trump, again, makes him just like 60 million people.
Right. But 60 million people didn't say that slavery was a mental condition.
I know. I'm just trying to compartmentalize everything.
I know what you're saying. You know I agree. I agree.
Like somehow, like, being...
He's an outsider.
Yeah.
Because he's an outsider to even those Trump voters by what he said. Yeah, I don't think the majority of Trump voters is going to be out here being like, yeah, you know what? They actually did choose slavery. Nah, I don't. Nah. Of course, they're going to be some, because in that group, you do have your racist people out there. But I'm not going to just apply that to all these Trump voters. A lot of these Trump voters were trying to put aside the problems with Trump and how he ran his campaign, the things that he came out of his mouth with. They were trying to look at, like, he was actually going to be a good president. He wasn't a politician, and we needed somebody that was in business and blah, 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 all that crap, right? Again, I don't think the majority of them would be like, yeah, slavery, y'all chose that for yourself. Look at that. See, y'all could have got up and walked away. Anyway, all right. We appreciate everybody being here with us today. I think we had a good show. I think this is still on. We're giving us a little buffering signal.
Yeah, it says we're in the green, but now it's buffering. So that must be a sign from YouTube and saying, yo, y'all don't wear out your welcome.
Good. Yeah, we good. I think we just had to refresh it. But yeah, appreciate everybody in the comment section working it. I saw some people talking about some food or something, like eggs or something like that earlier. I don't know what y'all were talking about. I couldn't follow it. But appreciate all our callers too. Andrew Court, Ray Clues, Snork, Y2K. Thank you all for calling in. Thank you to all our patrons as well on patreon.com if you can. If you have the financial means to and you'd like to support the program, it's at www.patreon.com/LTMB. And yeah, man, had a good time on the show. Giuliani cracked me up. Don't never be in my corner, Giuliani. Just a public service announcement for you. Please just stay away from
whatever you do. If LTMB gets in trouble, don't come to our aid.
Nope. I know he has a legal background.
I know.
We good. I can represent myself.
It's back. It's back. Yeah. It's in the background. It's in the background. It's way back.
We will represent ourselves. If we had the choice between nobody and Giuliani, we good. We're good, man. So everybody, yeah, I hope you have a good weekend. I might check out that movie, man. I might check out that
Infinity War.
Yeah, I might check out that Infinity War. Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. Gotta determine if the kids can sit through that thing.
Oh, true that. Yeah. It's funny how you start to judge what you can and cannot do based on the attention span of your children.
Exactly.
And you know what? Let me rethink this.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But everybody, appreciate you being here with us. We hope that you'll make it for the next program next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Let the Madness Begin. We'll holler at you.